Live from 5 News, this is a weather impact alert.
I'm 5 News meteorologist Danny Cassidy. We do have a couple severe thunderstorms warnings in the area for Benton County and far northern Washington County. This is for large hail and possibly some gusty winds up to 60 miles per hour. So we'll show you what that looks like here, and hopefully everyone is hearing me on the stream. I think we are, and obviously I don't want to show the river valley there. So let's make sure that this is on the right thing. Guys, we should be on, I think, PCR. I don't know why it's showing the 7-day for us, but hopefully we'll get that radar here soon. But on max one, there we go. So there we go. So there's the radar. So I want to zoom in to show you, again, this is going to be, this top cell here is for $half size hail moving into parts of western Benton County there towards Decatur. This is for $half size hail and maybe some gusty winds up to 40 miles per hour, but primarily looking at a hail concern. And then the southern cell here that's moving into far southern Benton County and into northern Washington County. This is primarily for the same reason, up to quarter-size hail and maybe some gusty winds. Again, primarily with these cells initially, we're going to see a hail concern when they're more kind of discrete or individual, and then as they organize, that's when a wind threat develops. So I want to freeze the storms here, just kind of give you an idea of where these are going over the next, let's say, hour or so. So they're moving roughly both off to the east at about 40 miles per hour. So I'm just going to put a squall line here just out ahead of where the hail core is. So again, this is just to the east of Siloam Springs, and we'll take that kind of towards, again, the eastern edge of Benton County. So that would be for Gentry, just right now, 10:02, Decatur at 10:05, Crystal Lake at 10:07, XNA at 10:11, Benton County Fairgrounds at 10:18, Cave Springs at 10:21, downtown Bentonville at 10:27, downtown Rogers at 10:31, Lake Atalanta at 10:35, same with Rogers Executive Carter Field, the airport there at 10:35, Pea Ridge 10:37, Brightwater at 10:40, Beacon Addition at 10:42, Hobbs State Park at 10:46, and Glade at 10:50. And this is going to be for quarter to $half size hail and possibly some gusty winds around 40 miles per hour. But the primary concern here is going to be that quarter-size hail concern. So these are the only two storms in the area that are severe warned, but there are a few cells that are kind of tracking to the south as well, just northeast of Tahlequah towards Christie and just south of Stillwell, then towards Uniontown there in Crawford County. And these cells, again, continue to track west to east and maybe grow in extension here as it continues to move west to east throughout the morning hours. Off to the southwest, that's where we have a few other thunderstorms that we're going to be keeping a close eye on, because these are the cells that eventually, again, are going to track west to east later today and give us possibly, again, more chances of showers and storms. And of course, the focus right now is going to be on these storms in northwest Arkansas, kind of sitting over Siloam Springs and Lake Flint Creek. I want to check the hail just to see what we're kind of getting in terms of estimations of what we're seeing out there. So let's go to the hail track, the hail now, I should say. And it looks like, again, possibly up to quarter-size hail there. So just the south there in Watts, if we were to kind of check this, probably either nickel or quarter-size hail there. So penny size, a little bit smaller, so that's good. But again, still could see up to quarter-size hail there. Let me move myself on screen a little bit so I'm not coming off. And then if we go to the north here towards Colcord there in Delaware County, heading eastward, this is going to be for, again, penny size as well. But again, it still could pulse up in and out because we checked the tracks here that we've been seeing recently. And of course, this isn't an exact science. This isn't exactly going to tell you that, hey, we're seeing exactly this. It could be a little bit higher than this range. So if we were to take a track here, it has diminished a little bit because you notice it was bigger off into central Delaware County. You see those darker blues there. That would have been indicative of probably some, again, $half size hail, and that's why it was warned. So you can see just to the west of Colcord there, $half size hail. If we were to go farther south there towards Watts and Chewy, again, a little bit on the bigger side, probably quarter or maybe even $half. So it has possibly pulsed down, but again, we're sitting on some energy here, and most of these storms are elevated. And what does that mean? That means they're higher in the sky. They're not base at the ground. So primarily what this risk is going to be is hail until we can get some energy from the ground, which will come later today with more heating. But so that's why these storms will primarily be a hail risk, and that's why you saw that less than 60 for the wind, because it's going to mainly be a hail concern. But still, again, these can pulse up and down, and while they're doing that, they could get a little bit bigger with that hail because, again, we haven't had any storms here throughout the morning hours. And even with, again, not a ton of energy, there's still a little bit to work with, especially higher up in the atmosphere. So if we go back to the hail now, and still looking at maybe penny-size hail there towards Watts, just to the east of Colcord there. And then if we were to back up to the radar, that's where you're seeing, again, that dark red there. And you're seeing that that up to inch hail, and it says less than 50 miles per hour because, again, primarily looking at a hail concern. We'll back up just to kind of show you area-wide what's going on right now. So these are the cells right now that are moving through Benton County, northern Washington County. That warning, if I zoom in here just quickly, I believe it just catches the downtown Fayetteville area as well as Farmington, but most of the hail, I think, will miss Fayetteville on its current trajectory, headed more towards Springdale and maybe the northwest Arkansas Mall, so just on the northern edge of Fayetteville. But the hail core is going to be kind of right in here, just along Highway 59 there, just southwest of Siloam Springs. So it continues to track east. It'd be roughly more towards kind of the Springdale area and the northwest Arkansas Mall. So we'll keep an eye on this, but this is mainly going to be kind of riding along far northern Washington County and then southern Benton County as it heads towards the east at roughly about 40 miles per hour. So let me back up again a little bit here. We're getting confirmation from the National Weather Service in Tulsa that they're currently coordinating with the Storm Prediction Center that a watch will be issued. Whether that's a severe thunderstorm watch or tornado watch, that's yet to be seen. I think primarily for northwest Arkansas, it'll be a severe thunderstorm watch, but can't rule out a tornado watch even for northwest Arkansas and then the River Valley as well, because the boundary that's in place, you could see just a little bit of rotation in the atmosphere, and that's what we're going to watch for. So you keep hearing me say like boundary. What do you mean, Danny? Well, let me show you what the winds are right now. So what the winds are showing right now is where we're going to find where the boundary is, basically where the winds are kind of coming together. So you see it's kind of right here where they're all coming together along I-40. So north of I-40, that's why it's mainly an elevated risk, meaning a hail concern. As the boundary continues to retreat to the north, that's where we're going to see a little bit more energy that's going to move into the region, and that's where that storm chance will increase. When you don't have base storms, if you're north of the boundary, they're mainly elevated, that tornado risk is really low because, again, a tornado is going to be on the ground. It's not going to be up in the atmosphere. It's going to try to rotate, but it's not going to be surface-based. So that means that it's mainly going to be a hail concern. But for those kind of along and south of the boundary, while the tornado risk is low, we can't rule out a spin-up or two later today. So I'll show you kind of where that energy is located with this system. And you can see it's mainly south of I-40, kind of where the boundary is. There's a lot to work with here. So as these storms from kind of southwest of McAllister northeast start to move in, we'll see that energy start to rise, that boundary retreats. So if we take it out to, let's say, the next 3 hours or so, we're going to watch this storm fuel slowly creep north, kind of sit along I-40, and then even for those in northwest Arkansas, we're going to see a little bit more. But of course, this is all dependent on how storms behave later today. If we see storms, it's going to wipe some of that out. But right now, with these storms moving in, there's not a whole lot here. And this is storm fuel at the surface. So that's why these are mainly staying hail concerns and elevated. But if storms were redeveloping enough to the west and enough time to recover, this is going to build. So this is going to be one of those systems that as it moves through this morning, depending on what happens this morning with these storms, that could help maybe alleviate storm intensity later today, just depending on where it sets up. So with storms right now in northwest Arkansas, we'll see if there's more intensity or more of a kind of break when more storms come. If it avoids kind of the river valley, that'll continue to kind of brew. So areas that see storms, hopefully break it up, that fuel. Storms that, or areas that don't see storms, could see kind of that storm fuel kind of building up. So we'll take it back to the radar here just to kind of show you what's going on. So for those that may be just joining us, I know it's obviously a work day, a school day for many. So if you're watching, we appreciate it. Severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Benton County as well as southern Benton into northern Washington County for the potential of $1/4 to $1/2 size hail. Now this just blinked here with this warning. I want to see if we do have any updates to this. I think they're just trimming the hail potential back, or just the warning back. So they have downgraded it to a 1/4 size because we saw with the hail track, it has diminished a little bit, but still so we could see some 1/4 size hail as it moves from west to east. And that hail core is going to be just north of Lake Flint Creek because where the darker reds and pinks are, that's usually where the hail is. And the reason why this was warned was because off to the west, we saw quite a bit of some large hail. We actually saw up to golf ball size just west of the region. I'll show you the report here. It looks like it's not in yet. Oh, no, there it is. So in Kansas, Oklahoma there in Delaware County, 943, 1.8, that's golf ball size, right around a golf ball size. So it quickly intensified and moved through with this large hail. So thankfully for us right now, it's low, but as I mentioned, it still could kind of pulse up in and out a little bit as we go throughout the morning hours. So that's why right now, yeah, it maybe has shown signs of weakening. We're still seeing that potential of some 1/4 size hail as well as some heavy rainfall that's moving through. Again, a lot of Benton County there, and then parts of northern Washington County as well. So you saw that got trimmed back. Again, that main hail core is going to be sitting right over Siloam Springs right now. And if folks are back there, if we want to maybe pull up the RDOT Siloam Springs camera just to see what we got going on there when we get a second. So we're going to probably see the brunt of the heavy rainfall there as well. Let's look at the hail core here. Again, it's going to be just to the south of Siloam Springs, and it did pulse back up a little bit. So this is going to be quarter size. So again, earlier it was just penny, now it's back to quarter. So it kind of pulses in and out. That's what these storms do. They sometimes don't necessarily stay the same strength all the time, but they'll pulse up and out, basically kind of going back and forth between tapping into some quarter size hail and then maybe a little bit smaller, kind of going back and forth. So this will continue to, again, to track east along Highway 412 there, kind of towards northern Washington County. So if we were to kind of put us on a due east trajectory, this would be kind of right towards the Town area, towards the Northwest Arkansas Mall, towards Springdale, so the north end of Fayetteville. I think it would have just avoid University of Arkansas campus there on the south end of the city. But we'll have to watch again. That's why this box, the polygon, is stretched out a little bit, because these cells can tilt a little bit, either north or south. But right now it's more towards kind of heading along Highway 412, towards Town and towards Springdale. So you can see the track of this is roughly due east, kind of sitting along Highway 412. And then off to the north there, riding along the Benton-Delaware County line. Now you can see this, it pulsed up a little bit here along Highway 116. So that'll continue to move east along Highway 116 and 112, or excuse me, just 12, excuse me. Heading towards the Wild Wilderness Drive-Through Safari there, just south of Decatur, towards Lake Flint Creek, towards Springtown, and farther east it goes. So as I mentioned earlier, if you missed it, the Storm Prediction Center is in talks with the National Weather Service to introduce a potential watch. Now, whether this is a severe thunderstorm watch and a tornado watch, not quite sure, but there is that potential of severe weather later today. I mean, it's happening right now, and that's why we've been talking about this for a little while, because although it may not have felt as warm or muggy this morning, the front now, or the boundary now, is providing that lift needed for storms to initiate. And that's why we're here now to be with you. And even if these go below severe criteria, I think we're going to probably be with you until these storms completely clear out, because we want to make sure everyone's okay and making sure we get through this together. Now, thankfully, after today, we're not going to see any severe weather for a while, but of course, we still have a ways to go here with these storms. So again, severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Benton County as well as northern Washington County, and then a few storms in Adair County and far southwestern Washington County. These for now aren't making any concern, at least with this, but we've seen them quickly pulse up. I do want to see the hail track, go back to that to see if there's any hail coming out of this, out of our kind of data detected formula. Okay, very, very small, maybe pea-size hail. You can see that very faint color there. A little bit maybe of some faint color there, maybe some pea-size hail. But let's track this here. If we go in here. And maybe some pea-size hail, but you can see that dark blue here, possibly up to quarter-size hail on the south end of Siloam Springs, right along the Baptist Assembly Church. If you're kind of living towards, let's see if I can read these here, headed towards just north or northwest Spring Harbor Road, heading eastward just south of Highway 412 towards Private Road there. Again, west-east now towards Highway 16. If you kind of live on the south end of Siloam Springs, make sure to stay away from windows. We're seeing probably up to quarter-size hail moving through the south end of Siloam Springs, and this is pulsed up a little bit since we last checked, so we could be seeing some quarter-size hail in there, and it looks like for now maybe seeing up to dime-size hail. We saw that in Siloam Springs just about a minute ago here. We saw reports of dime-size hail. That was at 10:08, so this had confirmed reports up to dime-size hail. So let's continue to track west to east. Again, if you're on the south end, just south of Highway 412, in southeast Siloam Springs, probably seeing some dime to possibly as big as quarter-size hail there. If we zoom in real close here, this is going to be towards these, let's see here, towards Gum Springs Baptist Church there, kind of riding along Heavy Chevy Road there. We zoom in even further there towards Keck Road. So again, if you're in southeast Siloam Springs, just south of Highway 412, probably seeing some dime to possibly up to quarter-size hail in that area. For the one off to the north, this one has diminished a little bit, probably seeing maybe up to pea-size hail, maybe up to dime size. That's just right along Highway 12 there near Bloomfield, just north of Lake Flint Creek, north of the Gentry area. So the strongest of the two right now definitely seems to be the southern one. So usually what happens is when you have these storms, and I'll go back to just radar, when you have two storms, you usually kind of have a southerly flow, a little inflow it's called. So when you have a storm on the south end, it kind of undercuts the energy on the north one. So this one will probably weaken a little bit. Not to say you still couldn't see some large hail, but it can kind of undercut it a little bit. So this one currently is the stronger one. We'll continue to track its monitor because if this one grows south of Watts and that continues to grow upscale to the east, then that could undercut this one in Siloam Springs as well. So you're probably seeing some pinks there of probably some large hail in that area. So we'll zoom out again here just to kind of show you that right now, River Valley, fairly quiet. A little bit of a cell there just west of Ozark along I-49, or I-40, excuse me. But we're watching off to our west where more cells are developing west of McAllister, just east of Oklahoma City. The radar doesn't quite go out that far, so I'm going to show you kind of an overall view here. So these have been pretty individual cells, and that's what we've seen a lot so far this morning, these supercells, when they're by themselves, they can have a large hail potential and maybe a brief tornado, but for now we've just seen some large hail. You can see off to the southwest McAllister there, just to the east of Oklahoma City. Those continue to track northeast, and these have been a little bit faster. These have been about 50 miles per hour. These have been about 40 miles per hour. So obviously, along with the hail chance, you're going to see obviously some heavy rain as well. There's another warning to the south here, just north of Sherman. At its current trajectory, though, I think this will just miss us to the south because it's more of a due east trajectory. So that would just miss southern LaFleur County. We'll keep an eye on this one, but for now, if it's on its current path, this cell will miss us. We'll have to watch for this one west of McAllister and that one southeast of Oklahoma City as this grows. And another thing as this grows, you see how these cells are kind of all by themselves? Well, as they move west to east, if they kind of grow into a line, which it could happen, then once they organize into a line, then a wind threat starts to become more of a concern because now you're getting into more of a surface-based kind of straight line wind potential. So we'll have to watch for that as well, because right now it's more of a hail concern with their more kind of supercellular or multi-cell, their individual cells. But as they move from west to east, watching for maybe that potential of that organizing into a wind threat. Again, right now, around the area, we're seeing that large hail potential, and it looks like this is maybe, this is pulsed up a little bit. So yes, this cell right now that's just east of Siloam Springs, you can see those dark pinks there. That's intensified over the last couple of minutes. Now this is for going to be about ping pong ball size hail, 1.5 inches. That's riding right along southern Benton County. So let's zoom in to show you here where this is going. So this is riding along Highway 412, right next to the Fairmount Baptist Church, right southwest of Pleasant Hill Church. If you're kind of in those areas, make sure to stay away from windows. Seeing some potentially large hail up to ping pong ball size hail just along and north of Highway 412. Continue to track east kind of towards the Cave Springs area. Right now, just north of Tawnytown, northwest Tawnytown, just to the east of Siloam Springs, where the largest hail is going to be. We go back to our kind of interpolation. So the hail right now is actually just the south of that cell. So let's see. Sometimes it doesn't quite line up, but let me go back and forth. So yeah, it's going to be in this purple right here, but roughly, again, about Highway 412 there, just east of Siloam Springs. That is pulsed up, and this is going to be possibly as big as golf ball size. So this is, again, our data-driven mechanic, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's factual, it's exact, but it definitely has that potential up to golf ball size, and it is intensified as it's moved from west to east. So again, right along Highway 412 in southern Benton County. If you live in this area, make sure to stay away from windows, or if you're at work, stay away from windows. You can see up to golf ball size hail. This cell just to the north towards Lake Flint Creek and the Wild Wilderness Drive-Through Safari, this has definitely diminished. I'm not going to say they're going to cancel this warning, but this cell has definitely taken a lot of the energy from the other one. So this is we're going to keep a close eye on. And let's see if this is updated at speed, because I want to put another track on this for those that are possibly in the area here. So let's put a track on this here. Again, mainly for large hail, moving at about 40 miles per hour. So we're going to put this, again, this is if it stays on its main course, and we're going to put the cone, well, we'll go a little bit of a squall for this entire hail core in case this changes. We'll go east here for about the next 20 minutes. So again, Logan Church area at 10:23, Christian Church 10:25, Thornsbury Church at 10:29, White Oak Church at 10:30, Harmon Church at 10:32, same with the power plant at 10:32, Tawnytown at 10:36, Helster Middle School at 10:38, Arvest Ballpark at 10:39 there in Springdale where the Naturals play, and 10:40 a.m. Willow Creek Women's Center. So from west to east here, that's where the large hail is right now. This is the strongest cell, and this is maybe even intensified a little bit more because now we're seeing those darker purples, so we could be maybe seeing as big as in that hen egg size. So that's that 2 inches in diameter. So this cell has quickly intensified. So I highly encourage those that are just off to the east, if you're able to, like for those in Taneytown, I think Savoy just on the southern edge there, but especially for the Taneytown area along Highway 412, if you live along Highway 412, put the car underneath the garage if you can, or sort of unsort of opening if you're at work, if you're at school if you can. I don't want you to get fired for leaving to park your car. I think your boss will understand though. If you're in anywhere in this area or even just along Highway 412, this cell is rapidly intensifying and possibly up to 2-inch diameter hail, that hen egg size, a little bit bigger than golf ball size. So this again is tracking roughly due east, maybe a little bit more northeast, but it is a pretty big cell as it's moving through. So we'll continue to watch that as it moves from west to east. Again, right now, those are the only 2 severe storms in the area. Those off to the southwest, we'll continue to track this. This one off to the north, just south of Decatur, north of Lake Flint Creek, that'll probably be allowed to expire at 10:30. That hail core has dropped a little bit. That main hail core, you can see it there on radar. It's going to be right there. This area right here, right over Logan Church. This is going to be a dark kind of hail spike, we call it, where it really intensifies. So if you're in anywhere in this area, be mindful that we could be seeing some large hail. Again, this is heading eastward along Highway 412, kind of towards the Taneytown area. We're going to see potential some pretty large hail out of this. Back off to the west, this was more towards Siloam Springs. It's not quarter-size hail, so this has had the potential of at least a quarter size, but just in the last 10 minutes or so, this has really picked up. So I want you, again, if you're well out ahead of this towards, I'll go a little bit farther east to your Elm Springs, Taneytown area. If you're anywhere in this kind of Highway 412 vicinity, I want you to be making sure you stay away from windows. And if you have a time, obviously it's raining right now, if you have the time, put those cars underneath the awnings or put those objects underneath the garage, into the garage if you can. If we'll even go farther east, I would say Springdale area, Bethel Heights, Lowell, anywhere from about Highway 412 to about, let's say the Lowell area right here. Anywhere I'd say even from Johnson to Lowell. I would say in this area right here, be watching for this large hail potential. Right now sitting, say just northwest of the Christian Church, the historical Christian Church there, just north of Highway 412, tracking eastward towards the Taneytown area, as well as kind of maybe close to the downtown Springdale area towards Bethel Heights, towards Lowell, near the Cave Springs area. This is the main concern right now, potentially as big as ping pong ball size is the official warning, but our data has indicated possibly as big as hen egg or 2-inch diameter hail. This is roughly moving off to the east at around 40 miles per hour. So again, a very potentially destructive storm with this hail, and you can see that circle there as it's moving east. That's where the hail is going to be. We'll go back to the hail now. So let's see. So again, it's not quite lining up with where exactly the dark purples are, but I would say, again, anywhere along Highway 412, be mindful of that hail concern, either in Taneytown, Cave Springs to the north. Even if you live close to X and A, I would say be mindful of that towards Springtown. I think it'll just miss those areas, but we'll have to keep an eye for the direction of this. But again, towards the Taneytown area, you're probably going to see some pretty large hail. Overall, let me show you radar again, because right now, these are the only 2 warned storms. Those in the River Valley, it's probably pretty quiet right now. There's one rogue cell near Ozark, but that's about it. We're also watching for 2 storms off to the southwest, one in McAllister and one just to the east of Oklahoma City. And as I mentioned, we'll kind of show you a more, let's say, broader view of radar. There's a couple warned cells there, east Oklahoma City, west McAllister, and then again, this one near Sherman. And as I mentioned before, right now they're just individual discrete cells. But as it moves from west to east, we'll have to watch for the progression of more of a line developing, kind of from west to east in the area. So we'll watch that for maybe the potential later today of as it develops into more of a line, more of a wind threat could develop. But right now looking at large hail, and we'll watch these cells off to the west as they do move from west to east in eastern Oklahoma towards our neck of the woods. We'll also have to watch here this cell right south towards Morrow. This has picked up in intensity a little bit well towards Lincoln, just southwest of Lincoln there, west of Cane Hill. See a little bit of some pink there, right near Dutch Mills Road, just to the west there of Shannon Road there. If you kind of live in the Morrow area, western Washington County towards Cane Hill, just southwest of Lincoln. See a little bit of an uptick of intensity with that cell. Let's watch that one and see what the hail is for that. So nothing there. So that's good. Just some heavy rainfall, but we'll be watching these cells because as any of them intensify, that does have that large hail potential right now, because as I mentioned, it's mainly elevated, meaning it's not surface-based, it's up in the atmosphere. So when that's the case, large hail is usually the primary concern, and certainly is the concern over here in far southwestern Benton County, right along Highway 412. Continue to move west to east, just northwest of White Oak Church there, again, near Logan Church, along Highway 412. That's where we're seeing that potential of, let's kind of track this again. Less than a quarter. I highly doubt that. Sometimes our data, see, there we go, Hennig. So sometimes our data is good. Sometimes it's cruddy. It's not scientific, but that's kind of how it works. But you can see that pink again, a little bit on the larger side. So again, it's a pretty big hail being produced out of this storm. So again, just north of Savoy, Tawnytown, Elm Springs area, I would say definitely keep an eye on this. Now it continues to track east, stayed about the same size. Now this $half estimation's on the west end of it. If I were to pluck this again, less than a quarter, yeah, probably not. Golf ball size hail potential. So let's go back to the radar here. So again, this is going to probably be a little bit, again, north of Highway 412. The radar here, which is getting a little bit more reliable, is putting this more towards the east-northeast direction, so a little bit more of a northeast curve. So Tawnytown might be just on the southern edge, but I'd still say if you're in the Tawnytown area, still would, again, stay away from windows, and if you can, put things underneath the awning. Though at this point, again, the brunt of the storm is headed your way. Elm Springs could be seeing some of that large hail. Between Elm Springs and Cave Springs, that's where the primary area of this is going to go from west to east. And this has just been upgraded now to golf ball size hail. That's what the National Weather Service did. It trimmed it off and now upgraded it to golf ball size hail. And again, less than 50-mile-per-hour winds. This is primarily a large hail concern. These storms are elevated, meaning hail is usually going to be the concern. The National Weather Service in Tulsa, as we expected, is going to let the northern warning go. So this one that's up to the north, again, in Decatur, grab it towards Bentonville. So I say the Bentonville area, north of Bentonville. Let me take off this, let me see here. So kind of those in the Bentonville area, and I would say probably just avoiding the hail. Bentonville West High School, Benton County Fairgrounds, that warning is going to be let to expire. The hail with that one has been shown to really diminish. That south storm has really taken up the brunt of it. Maybe seeing some pea-sized hail, but again, you notice the hail core has kind of disappeared from the hail detector for us, but still hanging on strong for this cell. Again, along Highway 412, just east of Siloam Springs, just south of XNA. We'll put another track on this here. Again, let's see. So again, I think this is moving east at about 40 miles per hour. Let me double check that here. That's still moving at roughly that speed. So this is going to be moving east at about 30. So slow down a little bit. So that's going to let the hail pick up, but also the heavy rain kind of continue as well. But I'm going to go just about 35 because I want those out ahead of it to have a little advance warning. Even if it does slow down, I'd rather you be ready in advance rather than behind. So we'll put this here at 35 miles per hour. Let's see here. All right, we lost our radar for a second. Hopefully we can get that back real quick. There we go. Okay. So let's take this at 35, right out ahead of it. All right, so Elm Springs at 10:31, Cave Springs at 10:32, Arvez Ballpark there, kind of home of the Naturals, 10:35, Mercy, Northwest Arkansas, 10:38, the Amp at 10:38, and Rogers, Springdale at 10:41, downtown Rogers at 10:43, Springdale Airport also at 10:43, Lake Atalanta at 10:47, Montagnais at 10:48, Prairie Creek 10:50, Beaver Shores at 10:53, Beacon Addition at 10:56, Pilgrims Rest School at 10:57, and Hobbs State Park at 11 a.m. Again, this is for the potential of golf ball size hail. Our hail detector is detected maybe as big as Hennig, or that 2-inch diameter hail. So I want you to obviously stay away from windows. And again, maybe not you would think as frightening as a tornado warning, but still, I would still say stay away from windows because that's big enough to definitely put a dent in some things. So again, stay away from windows with this. Find that interior shelter, that interior room, which is many walls between you and the outside, and that lowest level floor of your building. That's going to be the safest spot to always be in any spot for any severe storms, even just severe thunderstorms. So again, there's that pink you can see right along the Benton, Washington County line, just north of Tawnytown. But if you live on the north end of Tawnytown, towards Thornsbury Church, along Brush Creek Road there, heading east towards Cave Springs, towards Bethel Heights, north end of Springdale, Lowell, Cave Springs, and right in this area here, that's where the largest hail is going to be up to golf ball size. And if you're hearing some rustling on the mics, the chief himself, Scott Covert, who is running on Dr. Pepper Zero, I don't think his blood contains anything more than Dr. Pepper Zero, is here. He'll be assisting me throughout the day, and we'll be here throughout this entire thing. We're not going anywhere until storms have wrapped up. I do want to mention, I think the severe warning towards McAllister, that has been allowed to expire. So that's some good news there, because we're watching that cell. The only warned storm now is this one north of Sherman, towards Durant and far southern Oklahoma. And again, as I mentioned, this is going to track well, I think, just to our south. So I don't think this one's going to hit us. But notice how these cells are kind of coming together a little bit. We'll have to watch if they gain strength, if it turns more into a wind threat. So we're watching for those, again, across the area, and we'll put it more into our neck of the woods. Again, the main cell right now is sitting on the Benton-Washington County line for that golf ball size hail. Otherwise, just some scattered storms up along I-49, basically hugging the I-49 corridor. So a lot of northwest Arkansas are probably hearing it outside. The River Valley staying quiet right now. There are a few storms to southwest of McAllister. For now, it's diminished below severe criteria. But as I mentioned, any severe warning, make sure to keep you updated and keep you posted throughout the entire day. We're not going anywhere. We have nothing else better to do, and also it's our job, so we will be here for that. We'll go back in here, and I want to see if there's any reports from the National Weather Service.
No new reports, aside from perhaps about just shy of 1 inch in diameter from Decatur, which would have been that northernmost storm a little bit earlier ago.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Yeah, that was going to be at 10:19, so about 13 minutes ago. So we haven't seen any official reports of golf ball size hail, but the radar has definitely indicated that it has that capability.
Penny and Cave Springs. Penny size hail just now in Cave Springs.
All right, Penny and Cave Springs, and that's where the kind of eastern edge of the cell is moving in, so that's right here. So even in the darker reds, we're seeing some small hail out of this. But this is going to be the area of the largest hail, again, right along the Benton-Washington County line on the western end of Elm Springs, kind of near Thornsbury Church there, just southeast of Pleasant Hill Church, along the street of Schuster Loop there. So anywhere along the Benton-Washington County line, Elm Springs area, you're going to see that potential large hail, but it's even as far north as Cave Springs, seeing that large hail. In Tawnytown, I think we'll just pass it, but even then, if you live on the north end of Tawnytown especially, be mindful of that large hail. Most of it, I think, will miss kind of the Springdale area, but even still, with this dark red, as I mentioned, could see some small hail, some penny-sized hail in that direction as well. And then, again, maybe as far north as the Amp, we'll have to watch this move a little bit more north than east with progression there. But this is, again, until 11:15, potential of golf ball size hail and less than 50-mile-per-hour winds. Again, primarily going to be a heavy rain and hail event. If you are just joining us, there is a watch in coordination with the Storm Prediction Center that they will be issuing. I'm sure there's going to probably be some discussion of whether it's a severe thunderstorm warning, whether it's a tornado watch, and we'll make sure to message you when that does get issued. All of that is to say, regardless, we have that potential severe weather today. We're seeing it right now. And this is unfortunately probably not going to be the only round we see today through the region. So there's just been a special weather statement issued for Washington County. What a special weather statement is it's just below severe criteria. So severe criteria, if you're wondering, is up to quarter-size hail or bigger and 58-mile-per-hour winds. And you say, well, Danny, usually it's 60, right? Well, they round up just because 58 just kind of sounds a little bit off, but 58 miles per hour because it's a knots measure. They convert from knots to miles per hour. I won't go over the math with you, but when a special weather statement is issued, that means it's just below severe criteria. So this could be for nickel-size hail, and I'm assuming this is going to be probably just southeast of Lincoln and maybe towards the Prairie Grove area. So let's put a hail detector on this one. Not necessarily coming up here, but again, this isn't a perfect science. This is going to be one of those things where, again, the hail detector is not always great. Less than quarter, which, I mean, technically falls under the nickel size event. Again, sometimes the hail detector, it's like, well, yeah, it's not a severe warning, so of course it's less than quarter. You know, sometimes it's just here to give us a nice push and pat on the back. But there is that less than quarter-inch size hail, possibly in Lincoln, to the west of Cane Hill there, south of Cane Hill, basically in the western Washington County area, west of Hogeye and West Fork, headed towards Prairie Grove. This is moving to the northeast at about 45 miles per hour. And I will put a track on this, even though it's not a severe thunderstorm. We saw how quickly the other cell pulsed up. So for those that are watching are like, well, is this going to strengthen? I mean, we've seen it before. So I want to track on this, and you can actually see the purples now just along Hogeye and Prairie Grove. So that hail detector has been a little bit behind. So let's focus on the radar here. So Hogeye, Prairie Grove, these areas right here, possibly seeing up to quarter-size hail, and I would not be surprised if very soon this gets warned because of the kind of feedback we're seeing on reflectivity. Of course, purple.
Danny, I would even add there, you know, you start to look downstream long-term, to your point, that southernmost cell is often the one that, you know, it's going to have all that uninhibited warm, moist air flowing into it. Interestingly, before that little cell developed, the one that's currently warm, that's currently moving through Elm Springs, Tawnytown, Springdale, Lowell, that was the southernmost cell, and you saw what happened to it. But now that we've seen that development to the south, I think you're exactly right. I think we have a problem on our hands right now in southern Benton, northern Washington, but soon it's going to be that Prairie Grove storm that develops, if I had to guess.
Yeah, and as Scott mentioned, remember that, so yeah, the northmost cell was actually the one that started with the $half size indication. Then the southern cell picked it up because, again, it has nothing to, you know, prevent it from developing. So we're just getting an update here. I think they're just trimming it back. It's still a golf ball size hail indication, maybe a speed update. But again, I would not be shocked if this gets warned pretty soon. And so if you're in Prairie Grove, and again, I'll put a track on this here just because, again, it's going to probably pick up in intensity a little bit. It's moving at the northeast at about 45 miles per hour. We'll zoom out a little bit here. We'll take it out towards central and eastern Washington County and then out towards Madison County. And we'll make it broad. Again, I know it's not an exact, but I want this to be pretty broad because it has been moving kind of east-northeast. So we'll kind of go like this and then move it off to the northeast here, this direction. So West Fork at 10:36, Drake Field, the airport in south end of Fayetteville at 10:38, downtown Fayetteville at 10:41, Mount Sequoia at 10:42, Wyman at 10:48, Elkins at 10:50, Goshen at 10:54, Mayfield at 10:58, Hinesville at 11:04, Hartwell at 11:08, Huntsville Airport at 11:11, Huntsville downtown at 11:12, Alabama at 11:17, Wharton at 11:21, and Purdy at 11:25. That is for, again, there's no severe warning with this right now, but as Scott and I have been talking about, the south cell has had a tendency with these storms to pick up in intensity and kind of steal the energy, so to speak. And while right now it's not severe warned, this is a cell that could have maybe up to nickel-size hail as we speak, but maybe developing in towards that quarter size as it moves northeast towards central Washington County and then into Madison County. Again, folks in the River Valley may be watching, you're like, what's going on? Again, right now all is quiet, just a few spotty showers. We'll continue to watch this activity if it does extend south, because it's had that tendency kind of spread to the south. And another thing with this is if it continues to, again, kind of organize into a line, does this turn more of a wind threat? Right now, that's probably won't be the case because it's elevated storms. Again, I've said this 1,000 times. Danny, what does that mean? When it's elevated, that means it has no energy to work with at the surface. It has a lot of energy up above, but if you have no energy at the surface, then really the only thing that can be severe is, well, some rain, but hail. But as some energy creeps in from the south, which there's plenty of, if it does become more surface-based, then we'll have to watch for that wind threat to develop. But right now, looking at primarily a large hail concern in that area. So it looks like, again, I want to say, did they issue a watch? I think they might have issued a watch till 6 o'clock.
That's going to be for primarily northwest Arkansas at this point. They are coordinating an additional watch, which could more than likely include other parts of the area.
Okay, so yeah, so a severe thunderstorm watch is in effect until, I believe, 6 o'clock. This is going to be for all of northwest Arkansas and then Delaware and Adair County. And then, as Scott mentioned, they're coordinating another one for the River Valley. And I would probably believe, because this is where the boundary is located, where there's a little bit more energy and maybe a little bit more spin, this may be a tornado watch. So we'll have to watch for that. Regardless, we'll have the potential of severe weather, but this will probably be issued here in the coming minutes. I'd say at least by the end of the hour here by 11 o'clock. But the SPC is coordinating, the Storm Prediction Center is coordinating with National Weather Service in Tulsa, and then eventually the National Weather Service in Little Rock for our 3 counties here, Scott, Logan, and Johnson, for more watches. And this in northwest Arkansas is until 6 o'clock later today. I don't know if that was in the chat, Scott. I think I just read that off the, oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, so that's until 6 o'clock. And again, that doesn't necessarily mean it will go until 6 o'clock, but this is just kind of for the general vicinity because they did issue it downstream as well. Little Rock there for north central Arkansas. But that's the current watch right now. Severe thunderstorm in effect until 6 o'clock for northwest Arkansas, but those in the River Valley will probably see one issued here very shortly. As Scott mentioned, the Storm Prediction Center is in coordination with Tulsa and Little Rock to issue another one here. So again, storms off to our west are behaving, but we'll have to watch maybe this cell southwest of Clayton there, heading towards southern LaFleur County. then maybe the cell east of Oklahoma City. But right now, again, our primary concern is going to be on this cell on the border of Benton and Washington. We'll see the hail track of this. The location hasn't been great with these, but yeah, again, this is behind. But you notice that, again, still could have up to ping pong ball size hail. So if you're anywhere, let's say in this dark purple here between Bethel Heights and Lowell. If you're in the Bethel Heights and Lowell area, south end of Cave Springs, headed towards the Creech area, I hope I'm saying that right, just south of Clear Point, north of Sonora there, kind of right near the Benton County, or Washington County line, excuse me. This is going to where the biggest potential of large hail, possibly up to golf ball size, and maybe some gusty winds. But again, as I mentioned, that's kind of a non-factor with this one. It's going to mainly be golf ball size hail. This warning is officially until 11:15. For now, showing no signs of slowing down. But we're also watching this cell right south of it in central Washington County for areas like Farmington, Prairie Grove, West Fork, north of Hawkeye towards Greenland. Nothing severe out of this, but maybe some nickel-sized hail, especially you can see that there along Highway 62 there, just southwest of Farmington. The new scan here is moving that a little bit northeast, maybe just the southwest of Greenland there, north of West Fork, maybe some nickel-sized hail with that one. So watching this area as well, nothing severe out of this, but some small hail, definitely a possibility out of these cells as well. And right now our concern is with this. And I want to say the pinks have, I think, diminished a little bit. That's not to say, I'm not going to quite go out and say it's weakened, but the pinks have definitely diminished a little bit. So we're hoping it's on the trend of weakening. Scott, if you have a second opinion on that.
No, in fact, I would absolutely affirm what you're saying right there. I was hoping we could pull up Max 2. I'm looking at some of our traffic cameras. This is going to be, well, it looks like we may be losing the camera, but actually this works to our benefit. If we could pull Max 2 full, this is going to be on Ajax Avenue, I-49 in Rogers, and it really does look like that's kind of one of the areas where the biggest hail core is falling. Now, while the camera is frozen, weather-related, I'm certain, you would think that's bad news, but actually, if you look closely, because we've got this still picture here, you can see some of those larger hailstones dropping. Now, you kind of got to look closely, but if you do just that, if you look closely, what you're going to find from time to time, you see those big white streaks, those big white spots right there. That's more than likely that hail that's right now crossing, the worst of it at least, now crossing Interstate 49, but this is going to be situated Ajax Avenue, so it's really just right to the north of the Lowell exit, right before you get to, let's say, Top Golf and the Promenade, places like that, just for some context as to where we're looking. While we're here, I know this is going to look kind of funky. Let me do this. Let's pull up another one. This is Wagon Wheel Road, and you can see we're kind of looking in that same general vicinity right there where we've got quite a bit of precip coming down. Traffic's moving a little bit slower, perhaps not seeing as much in the way of actual hail here, but certainly some heavy rain that is going to make travel up and down I-49 worse, especially between Rogers and Springdale right now. That's not a place that anyone needs to be traveling if you can avoid it along I-49. Now, of course, that's going to change here soon. And then for the cell that Danny's been watching that's clearly trying to become a severe thunderstorm, that one, I'll just pull this up. We got a West Fork camera down here. We'll take a look at that. This is first going to be Pitkin Corner. That's looking south, not useful for us. Look, Greenland looking north. Yeah, not going to be the most useful, but it looks at least traffic there starting to flow, starting to see some rain develop right there. It does look like, before I send it right back over to Danny, I don't know if this is populated in the Max computer system yet, but a new tornado watch has been issued for Crawford, Franklin, Johnson, Logan, Scott. You got it over there? You got the map?
Yeah, I've got it loaded up.
Send it over to Danny. He's already ahead of it.
Yeah, so Max 1, so I'll step up to the side here. But so the pink, so as we expected, the pink, northwest Arkansas, and as well as Delaware and Adair County, that is going to be until 6 o'clock for a severe thunderstorm watch. The River Valley, so geographically, it's going to be pretty easy to say. Northwest Arkansas, severe thunderstorm watch until 6 o'clock. River Valley, tornado watch until 7 o'clock. The reason for this differentiation, we talked about it a little bit this morning if you're watching. The boundary is setting up kind of along I-40. When I mean the boundary, there's this warm front that's pushing north. And usually when a storm interacts with the boundary, it might have a little bit more tendency to rotate, to spin. That's not to say the tornado risk is high today. It's on the lower end, but the atmosphere is a little bit more favorable for potential rotation. So that's why tornado watch is in effect until 7 o'clock. What this also means, though, is that we do have the potential as well as large hail and damaging wind gusts with this system. But that's what we're talking about, is that we'll have the potential of some strong severe storms across the region In northwest Arkansas, that severe thunderstorm watch until 6 o'clock, the tornado watch until 7 o'clock. So that's where you're kind of seeing the differentiation between the region, that boundary as it's setting up, a little bit more surface based, so the potential of more wind gusts as well as maybe a brief tornado. Northwest Arkansas can't rule out a tornado, but more elevated, meaning more of a large hail concern and more scattered storms with more organization there for the tornado watch. We'll continue to watch these cells here as they develop. Again, as I mentioned earlier, this one in central Washington hasn't quite done enough to, well, actually, I won't say that. It's cut into the energy a little bit. We'll see if, again, the hail tracker, again, it hasn't been great with keeping up with the system. So it is still ping pong ball size. So, again, can't rule out some really large hail. But let's see if we can take the track of what it's been doing. And you can see when it was off, and let me freeze this here. You can see when it's been off to the west, it was a lot more kind of menacing. It was that pink, maybe up to hen egg size. But it has lost a little steam. And we're hoping, again, crossing our fingers, that this will continue and kind of trend weaker as it continues to move west to east towards areas like Lowell and just on the south end of Rogers towards Hobbs State Park. But right now, still maybe have that potential of ping pong ball size hail. But we're hoping, again, it's showing a weakening trend as it's moving from west to east, roughly west to the northeast towards, again, Lowell, Springdale, and towards Hobbs State Park. So we'll just put another track on this here. I want to see if there's been any updates. So we did get some reports in Cave Springs, on the north end of Cave Springs here. Let's go back to 2 miles just north of Cave Springs. Earlier, there was an update, and there was a report of 2-inch size hail, that hen egg size hail. So that's indicative that, yeah, our data was actually correct. It was showing that, yeah, we had that large hail. So that's going to be, again, that was in the Cave Springs area. And then Highville, actually near the airport, reported 1.75-inch hail, so golf ball size hail. So again, in this area here in northwest Arkansas, we've been seeing quite a bit of some large hail. This was, I think, right near the Highville area. So let's see if these reports have populated yet in the system. Let's see where these reports would be. Here we go. So yeah, you can see all these hail reports coming in here. So even just recently on the east side of Rogers, seeing some up to maybe nickel-size hail there, 0.8 inches there, roughly about 8 minutes ago. Towards X and A there. Again, this was about 20 minutes ago, right along X and A, 1.8 inches, which is that golf ball size hail. And then Cave Springs, that's where the 2-inch size hail was. That was at 10:30. So this is had the capability of producing up to hen egg, that 2-inch diameter hail in the region. And it will continue to have that potential. It has slowly shown signs, but again, not quite, enough to say that, hey, like this is completely weakened. So,
hey, Danny, if we could go to max 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is going to be your southernmost cell that's rolling through Greenland. We do now have a report out of, let's see, let me scroll back up here. I just saw it. Okay, so this is going to be max, oh, sorry, my bad. You're not in the all clear. That's from last night. It's got bad data. Hold on. My computer's still waking up. Okay, now you should be good on max 2. This was about 1 inch in diameter hail falling near West Fork, kind of right between West Fork and Greenland, and you're looking into the heart of that cell there. It looked a little more menacing just a couple of seconds ago. So just heads up that storm, as Danny has been tracking and has been saying, is certainly intensifying with time. It's probably only a matter of minutes before it becomes severe, if I had to guess, based off of kind of what we're seeing right there. We will take another look at the southernmost cell, or excuse me, the southernmost camera, but it's looking towards the south, and you can almost see full sunshine, which is kind of wild. This is Pick and Corner looking south of there along 49. So when you start to look into the actual heart of that cell, well, that one's looking north as well into Fayetteville. So you're kind of splitting the two. But key takeaway here is that cell continues to strengthen. And I think within probably the next 5 to 10 minutes, we're probably looking at a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Fayetteville, Farmington, Greenland. Warning or not, you got some hail coming through and some heavy downpours.
Yeah, I think we saw, I don't know if you mentioned this, but we saw a report of nickel-size hail in Prairie Grove. That was at 10:40, so about 10 minutes ago as that moved through. So again, that nickel size is right on the cusp of some large hail. So the pink right now is on the north end of Fayetteville along Highway 265, just south of Northwest Arkansas Mall. We'll zoom in here maybe to show some neighborhoods of that area. So Gully Park, just to the northwest of Baldwin, west of Wyman there towards Free Hill Church. In that area heading northeast, kind of along Highway 45 there towards Gully Park and Haberton. Kind of in this area right here, we're seeing that large hail potential, possibly as big as nickel, maybe up to quarter. Again, this isn't officially severe warned, As we've been talking about, this has the potential of maybe producing some hail with it and maybe some brief gusts at times, but again, primarily looking at a large hail potential. Again, not severe warning yet, but we're giving just a heads up because we have had already reports of nickel hail, which is just below the severe criteria. That's moving northeast at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. So see back towards this one here in Benton County. We'll see the hail track with this. So still kind of hanging on in the area here. Again, this has been a little bit off in terms of the location. It has shown some diminishment. Again, we'll see if the radar kind of lines up with that, but I think the reflectivity has been definitely lower. Not to say, again, it's not necessarily still not going to see some hail, but I think the reflectivity has dipped, so we'll see if we get some update from the National Weather Service here soon. We see that observed tag. I mean, we saw observed hen egg size hail in Cave Springs, but more recently golf ball size hail, so that's why we have that 1.75. But there is still a little bit of purple here. You can see that in the Lowell area, eastward towards Creech, west of Hobbs State Park. So we're watching for maybe that hail to continue a little bit. And again, this isn't one of those where it'll weaken and it'll just kind of go off into the night. We've been seeing it kind of strengthen back and forth. So we'll watch that. Overall, again, I do think the reflectivity has diminished a little bit, but not to say that's completely now washed out. Like, we're still going to see some hail out of this. And then on the south end here, we're seeing a little bit of some hail potential near the Fayetteville Country Club, towards Baldwin, southwest of
There's
Lyon.
that severe thunderstorm warning.
So we're seeing that here, and it looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning.
That's going to be our southernmost cell that we were looking at.
Yeah.
The base right now, 1 inch in diameter hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. That one I think probably does become the dominant storm with time. May be a little bit longer, 20 to 25 minutes, but it's certainly trying its hardest.
Yeah, so let's see. Moving northeast at 50 miles per hour, so it is moving pretty quick. Let me get this one off. There we go. It's always going to point, the the warning box is always going to point to the higher intensity one, which I appreciate. But let me take this off for a second, and we'll just take a general track of this. Moving to the northeast at about 50 miles per hour. Again, primarily looking at hail. This is in effect until, I believe, what would that be, 11:30, I believe?
That is going to be, let me double check. Yes, 11:30.
Okay, so we'll take it just out ahead. Again, I want to put this in enough warning time for folks, and we'll take it even to just kind of out past the warning. So Tuttle here at 10:52, Pilgrim's Rest School at 10:54, Mayfield at 10:55, Whitener there at 10:58. If I'm saying that wrong, I apologize. Hinesville at 11, Hartwell at 11:05, Clear Creek School at 11:07, Clifty at 11:07, Forum at 11:11, Withrow Spring State Park, 11:11, Alabama at 11:14, Rock House at 11:16, hitting the Carroll County line there, 11:23, Berryville at 11:26, and Cabinal at 11:26. So again, this is for the potential of some quarter-size hail and maybe some brief gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour, but primarily looking at a large hail is the concern. You can see just to the north in Missouri, that cell has now grown, but obviously that's going to stay off to the north and to the east, so we don't have to worry about that for right now. The River Valley, again, we're still watching these cells. Right now, again, it's still very quiet. But in this area here, this cell that's, again, just to the north there of the Texas border, that's continued to track somewhat east. It may clip far southern LaFleur County, but I think as it approaches a little bit more closer, I think it'll turn a little bit more of east direction. So we'll watch that cell and watch these kind of scattered about towards McAllister. Right now, these have not been severe, but they have been pretty, with some lightning and some heavy rain. Looks like we are getting a report here in Cave Springs, baseball-size hail. I see some reports there. It looks like we can put this up on the Cave Springs area has been getting hit with quite a bit of hail, so I think this is going to be this one here. So this was at 10:40, a report of 3-inch diameter hail. So baseball is 2.75, so this is going to be a little bit bigger than that. I think that's technically a teacup-size hail. I don't know if that's a good point of reference, but I'll say baseball, a little bit bigger than baseball-size hail. So that was about, again, 10:40. So this has been quite the hailer that moved through southern Benton County and far northern Washington County. We've seen anywhere between penny to as big as now a little bit bigger than baseball-size hail. More reports coming in here. Emergency management in Newton County, but this is in the Cave Springs and Lowell area. This is between that region. I'd say, Scott, I don't know if you're seeing that picture, maybe as big as golf ball size in that area.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing over here. I'm fielding some reports from the Cave Springs area that, yeah, may very well confirm that potential baseball size hail. I want to be really cautious before I throw that out there, but I'm fact checking some stuff over here real quick. It very well does look like some very large hail at any rate, but I think you're right. Cave Springs for sure. Minimally, you've gotten some golf ball in some areas, probably even bigger than that.
Yeah, no, it's been pretty big. So that's kind of the area we've been watching for. So I've already seen quite a bit of some large hail reports in the region. And again, I would say this cell is maybe weakened ever so slightly, but still going to have that potential of up to golf ball size hail and running through 11:15. I didn't put a track on this one. I want to put a track for this one for folks in eastern Benton County and heading towards western Carroll County. This one is moving, I believe, probably about the same speed, but let me double check on this one here. This is going to be at the northeast at around 30 miles per hour, but we'll go 35 again, just to give you an advance warning. So this is going to be the primary area here, and we'll move it kind of towards the Missouri state line there. So Beaver Shores at 10:58, same with Hickory Creek School. Beacon Addition at 11, LaRue at 11:05, Hobbs State Park at 11:06, Lost Village at 11:10, Pine Top at 11:12, Rock at 11:15, Clear Springs School at 11:26, same with West Liberty, Eureka Springs at 11:27, Hammer 11:31, and then kind of towards the Carroll County area 11:38, same with Grandview, and then Berryville at 11:45. As I was doing that, it did update. I think they were just trimming it back.
That's right.
So they have upgraded it to tennis ball size just because of the observation that they've seen. So even though the radar still isn't necessarily showing that reflectivity, we still have that potential of some large hail with this cell. And I think the largest would be kind of east of the Lowell area headed towards Hobbs State Park. This is one of those scenarios where we're kind of in between three radars. So it may not necessarily picking up the best kind of depiction of what's going on at the surface because we've got Springfield to our northwest, or to our northeast technically. And then we have Tulsa off to our west, and then Fort Smith off to our south. And we're kind of in the middle of all three. So maybe not, you can see we're on the southwestern edge of the Springfield radar. So you can see that dark pink there. That's probably where we're seeing. And I think I just went in and out a little bit. If I did, lightning might have hit the station. Probably gonna hear a loud boom here soon. That happens sometimes. Dan in my ear, our master director, master operator back there says, "Oh yeah." So we're hanging on strong here in Johnson. But yeah, it's obviously a lot of lightning and heavy rain with this as well. But those are the only two warnings right now. Again, this is up to possibly tennis ball size hail in southern Benton County there, headed towards Hobbs State Park, and then into northeastern Washington County there. This is for quarter size hail. I want to see if this has upticked at all with the hail core here. Looks like they are updating it. I don't know if they're trimming it back or if they're going to... so they did upgrade it. So this is going to be for ping pong ball size hail and maybe some gusty winds. And I'd say especially where you're seeing that dark purple right here, southeast of Fayetteville along Highway 16. That's going to probably be where the biggest hail is, towards Goshen, towards Hinesville. So if you're in eastern Washington County, even Elkins, that include you folks there, to the northeast, right along the Washington-Madison County line, you're going to see some large hail. Again, that's for that north end cell. Let me take this off. That's for the north end cell, the baseball one. This one is for up to ping pong ball size hail. That's where you see that blinking. It's updating now. That's heading off to the northeast towards the Hinesville and Huntsville areas, towards Withrow Springs State Park. So if you're in any of these areas right here, make sure to stay away from windows. And I know it's just a severe thunderstorm warning, but you say that and it still does some damage. We saw what it did on Saturday. It did some damage to some cars and unfortunately probably a lot of properties as well in eastern Oklahoma, far southern parts of Sebastian County as well. So again, just make sure to stay away from windows, be in that interior room. If you need to, put us on full blast. I don't know if you want to hear my voice that loud. Maybe Scott's, he's got a soothing voice, but if you want to do that and just hear us from your shelter, by all means, not a bad idea to do it. But again, towards Goshen, Elkins, I'd say even anywhere in this area up to the northeast, towards Hinesville, Huntsville, Withrow Springs State Park, this is going to be up to potentially ping pong ball size hail. And we've seen this already this morning with the initial cell to the north that's produced now up to a little bit bigger than baseball size hail. These storms quickly intensify. There's a lot that's just been kind of sitting around, this energy waiting, that's being ready to be tapped into, and certainly is at this moment.
I want to, if we could come back over to Max 2 real quickly. We are getting a lot of reports in. I'm focusing on getting all of your pictures into the system. I want to share our number here at the station. That's going to be 479-785-5000. It comes straight to us, and I'm going to work to get those on air. Of course, Emily Moss also helping us out with that today. She's a jacker, or Jill of all trades, rather. This is our number. Send us your reports only if you can do so safely. What's really, really helpful is to include your location, and I'd love to give you credit. So if you want the credit, send us your name. The other thing when it comes to hail reports, what's even better is because everyone's hand is a little bit different size, it's hard to get some context as to exactly how big that hail is. If you could put something that often has like a uniform size, perhaps a coin, or maybe sometimes creatively, Danny's pointed out, a Coke can, something that's consistently the same size across the board, just to give us some context as to how big it actually is. I do want to show you something before we turn our attention back to live radar. This is a live look right now into the backside of that cell. This is going to be looking from Rogers Mercy Hospital. But notice this, you got the dark skies there off in the distance, but as I pan it, we just had a really bad hailstorm roll through a good chunk of Benton and Washington County, and we already have sunshine coming out on the backside of that system. Kind of wild how we could go from having potentially baseball-sized hail to sunshine within a matter of about 10 minutes. We'll turn it right back over to Danny Cassidy.
Yeah, so again, and that's what we're going to have to watch for, unfortunately, later, is I'm hoping this is not the case, but maybe a second round, we're hoping that this can kind of put up enough of a fuss that when more of these storms move in later today, it won't have enough oomph to do this. But as you saw the sun, we'll see if it kind of recooks the atmosphere a little bit. But still watching those cells just off to the southwest there in LaFleur County, north of McAllister. So again, folks in the River Valley, we're keeping an eye on things. We're not seeing anything right now. Again, once we see things start to move in that could be severe, we'll make sure to let you know. But our focus right now is going to be in northwest Arkansas, where we've had hail size up to, again, a little bit bigger than baseball. And I would say reflectivity on this in northeastern Washington County has definitely gone up a tick.
I'm seeing some information just from a different product that we like to use that would indicate potentially, maximum estimated hail size. We're still looking at that 3 to perhaps 3.5 inch range, situated there in East Fayetteville, right along Highway 16. It's kind of, at the moment, splitting Elkins and Goshen, but given the northeasterly trajectory of that, I think if I'm in Goshen and if I'm in Hinesville, I'm getting ready for a pretty rough hailstorm probably in the next few minutes. No, Danny, you're exactly right. That hail is growing in size as that southernmost cell becomes the dominant cell of the three. What I'm looking over here, I'm hesitant to say because it's just a computer algorithm, but, potentially as large as 3 to 3.5 inches, kind of based off of the history of the other storms in the area. The environment clearly supports that. So, in 1 degree, it's pretty high, so I'm a little cautious to say that. But on the other hand, well, the atmosphere has done it just a few miles ago.
Yeah, and so to Scott's point, we let you know probably a couple of minutes ago, this storm severe weather warning has been upgraded to ping pong ball size. Well, just 2 minutes ago, they upgraded it again to golf ball size. You can see how quickly it's intensifying and how dark these purples are. So again, anywhere between the Elkins and Goshen area heading northeast, this is where we're going to see the potential of, again, maybe up to baseball size, even a little bit bigger. We've seen it already happen with the northern end cell, and with how much energy is just kind of sitting there, this could be another big kind of hailer here. So let's put another track on this just again. I just want to put folks that maybe are just tuning in, maybe you're hearing the heavy rain come through eastern Washington County, you're kind of wondering what's going on. So this is moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. Let me zoom out a little bit here to give those an advance warning. And we're going to stretch this out kind of the entire, I'll go even a little bit farther out. So again, I know this is a little bit farther out, but again, for those just in this area, if you're in eastern Washington County, say right now, be making sure you're staying away from windows. But for those in northern Madison towards southern Carroll County, so this is going to be Mayfield right now, Mountain Springs Church right now, Whitener there at 1107, Hinesville at 1109, Bohannon Mountain Church at 1111, Bohannon Community Church at 1112, Hartwell at 1113, Clear Creek School 1115, Withrow Springs State Park at 1118 and 19. I guess it's in there twice. Nice. Assembly of God Church 1120, Alabama at 1122, and McElroy State Game Management Area at 1123. So if you live anywhere, and you can see these purples are really growing, so I would not doubt that we maybe be seeing up to baseball size hail right now, maybe even a little bit bigger in the Elkins, Goshen area. I'd say even if you're in Drakes Creek or Hinesville, any of these areas, I'd be staying away from windows right on the edge of the polygons. basically, if you're in the polygon, I would stay away from windows because this is at a history of producing at least the north end up to baseball size, but we can see this is really intensifying right now. So this is probably tapping into a lot of energy and maybe producing as big as baseball size. Now, that's not the official warning, but what we've seen from already, I wouldn't doubt that that is potentially the case for this cell. To the north, we'll check on this one here. This one, we'll say that it is kind of now meshing together into one. We still could definitely be seeing some hail on this northern end cell. Let me put the query back on here. So this is going to be for, again, until 11:15. We'll have to see how quickly or what they decide to do with this cell, because now, again, that south end cell is really taking up a lot of the energy. But if I want those folks that are in Hobbs State Park, maybe in southern Carroll County, like, hey, what's going on? We'll check the hail kind of tracker here just to see what's going on. So this one is definitely diminishing, that's for sure. And this one is really growing. So you can see now this is updating. And again, as we talked about, they just updated this now, and this is now up to tennis ball size hail. As we've been talking about, it is basically one storm is coming south of it and says, all right, what you've got, I want, and I'm taking it. So now this has quickly, rapidly become the big storm. And we've gone from indicated of quarter size to tennis ball size, maybe in the span of 10 minutes. Yes.
Danny, we typically reserve going on to programming for tornado warnings. If we've got tennis ball size hail, I want to go on TV.
Yeah,
so
no,
if we could go ahead and get on TV quickly. I hate to do it, but I'm also happy to do it at the same time. So if our directors in the booth could go ahead and get us over on Channel 5, let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, for anything as big as that, again, usually when it's bigger than 2 inches, that can really be destructive hail. So again, this is going to be, we'll zoom in here because again, this north cell now, that warning will be allowed to expire. So this warning right here in northeastern Washington County towards Hinesville, towards Huntsville, Withrow State Park, that's going to be our main concern right now. Again, anywhere between Elkins, Goshen to Hinesville, Huntsville, Withrow Springs State Park. All right, that's going to look a little weird on the stream, but we're going to be going live here now on 5 News. So maybe you folks are ready back there.
Live from 5 News, this is a weather impact alert.
Good morning, everyone. I'm 5 News meteorologist Danny Cassidy. So we're cutting into over the air because the hail has gotten very big this morning. We've seen some reports a little bit bigger than baseball size in Benton County, and now we're seeing possibly up to baseball size hail. Well, at least tennis ball size hail, but maybe up to baseball size in northeastern Washington County, heading towards the Hinesville-Huntsville area in Madison County and towards Withrow Springs State Park there in northern Madison County. And this dark purple right here, you're in between Goshen and Elkins, just on the northern and southern edge there, headed towards Hinesville, Huntsville, Withrow State Park. This is going to be moving to the northeast at roughly between 40 to 50 miles per hour. So I want to put a track on this here just to kind of show you what's going to be going on here. So we'll put it right out ahead of this, and even I'll put this whole cell on here. And we'll go even a little bit past the warning here. So Whitener at 11:09, Hinesville at 11:12, Hartwell at 11:15, Huntsville Airport at 11:18, downtown Huntsville 11:19, Withrow Springs State Park 11:20, 11:21, Alabama at 11:23, Marble at 11:29, Dean at 11:34, Dry Fork at 11:36, Gobbler and Gobbler Church 11:39, Connor at 11:40, and Osage at 11:42. This is for the potential of tennis ball size hail, but this storm system in general has seen up to potentially baseball or even a little bit bigger than baseball size hail. So the core of this right now is in far northeastern Washington County, just southwest of Hinesville, just west of Huntsville. So if you're in this area, I'd be staying away from windows. We've seen some very large hail being produced out of this. There is an extension of the severe thunderstorm warning in parts of far eastern Benton County towards Carroll County there. That is for potentially up to golf ball size hail here. So this has been quite the hailer. And again, as we've been mentioning, this one has been producing up to maybe teacup size, just 3-inch diameter hail. So a very big system moving on here, and we'll put a track on this northern one as well. I think this is roughly moving to the east at about, let's say, 40 miles per hour. So we'll get out ahead of this one here, take it a little bit out to the east, right at the end there. So West Liberty at 11:10, Balua Church 11:12, Assembly of God Church 11:14, Forum at 11:15, McElroy State Game Management Area at 11:17, Rock House 11:18, White Oak Church, 11:23, Pension Mountain School 11:24, Berryville at 11:29, Carroll General Hospital 11:30, Mulberry Church 11:31, Rudd at 11:34, Cisco at 11:35, Green Forest at 11:38, and Green Forest Intermediate School at 11:39. So this north end cell is going to be for the potential of up to golf ball size hail. This one off to the south that's heading towards northern Madison County is going to be potentially for a little bit up to tennis ball size hail. So this is going to be a very big hail potential that's going to do some damage. This is going to be some destructive hail moving into the northeast. So if you live in the Huntsville area, near Withrow, Spring State Park, in the Hinesville area, right along the Washington-Madison County line, in the Goshen area right now, I'd be taking shelter and staying away from windows. Again, treat this like a tornado warning because this is going to be some large hail that could do some destruction. Of course, the best spot to shelter is always going to be away from windows in an interior room. Put as many walls between you and the outside and on the lowest level floor of your building. Especially stay away from windows with this because, again, that's going to be some large hail that's moving through the region. And our Beryl and Scott coverts, we've been getting reports up to 3-inch diameter hail. This is near Springdale along Highway 412. So we've had confirmation. This has had multiple reports up to 3-inch diameter hail, which is a little bit bigger than baseball size hail.
Without a question, the next in line is going to be southern portions of Goshen, Hinesville. And if I'm in Huntsville, I'm getting ready. It may kind of split the difference there between Hinesville and Huntsville. It's just too early to say. A very severe thunderstorm. You know, we talk about severe thunderstorms, and there's actually 3 different types of severe thunderstorm warnings, and oftentimes we don't kind of talk about the difference between the various different types. But there's the base, or let's say just the basic severe thunderstorm warning: 60-mile-per-hour winds, 1-inch in diameter hail. The 2 additional layers are reserved for when we've actually got some pretty large hail. In this case, this is what's called a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. You start talking about 3-inch in diameter hail. Even just the golf balls that we've seen, we're talking about not only some damage to our roofs and some cars, but it's the middle of the day, right? So we do have a lot of folks that are outside, whether they're working, whether they just went for a run. And if you know someone that might be out and about, you may not wait too much longer to go ahead and give them a call. I say that to say this. You know, there's a lot of sunshine around the area. So if I were about to go outside and walk the dogs, as I probably should have done this morning, I would have looked around and would have said, okay, it's sunny, I'm good. Well, obviously we know that these isolated supercells can change things really quickly, as they've already done. And so we continue to see this potential for at least 2-inch in diameter hail now in far northeastern Washington County, and that is getting ready to move into Madison County. If you live anywhere between, let's say, Spring Valley and Huntsville along 412, I think this hailstorm is certainly going to be impacting you. This is the most severe one at the moment. There are a couple of, well, at least one other storm to the north of it that technically is severe as well, right? I don't necessarily want to lose track of what's happening in War Eagle and soon going to be moving into Clifty, but the fact of the matter is that one's not as intense, and the reason why it's not as intense, and Danny's actually got it pulled up better behind him, that southernmost cell is the one that's tapping into all of the storm fuel to the south and the east of it. It's actually choking that northernmost cell. It says, I'm the big fella in town now, you're done. And so that northernmost cell is gonna begin trending down. Doesn't mean it's gonna go sub-severe instantly. That generally takes some time, but that southernmost cell really pulsing up, the potential for at least 2-inch in diameter hail. And as we've seen, Danny has noted, we've seen up to baseball and at times even slightly larger than that hail already this morning. So it's definitely a storm that we want to go ahead and take a little more seriously than if it was just, that base severe thunderstorm warning that I know we're all guilty of kind of just not giving too much attention to. This one's a little bit bigger than that, certainly concerning, potentially as high as baseball size. That's going to do some damage. It's going to hurt too.
Yeah, that's going to do some damage. So thank you, Scott. Again, this is going to be anywhere between Huntsville and Hinesville. Really, if you're in the polygon here, famous meteorologist James Spann over in Alabama, respect the polygon. Certainly going to be the case here. If you're within this polygon, it's in this severe thunderstorm warning, and staying away from those windows and taking shelter. Because again, although it's not a tornado warning, as Scott mentioned, this is still going to be a destructive storm with very large hail. And you see this blinking up to the north there. That's for that warning to the north. It has severely diminished. Again, as Scott was mentioning, this usually the most southern cell, if it's in a line, wins in terms of hail because it's taking out all of that moisture, all of that energy from the south and cutting off and again choking it out. So This was the one that produced some baseball-sized hail towards the Cave Springs area, towards the Lowell area, but now this is maybe up to quarter-size hail. So again, if you're in Hobbs State Park, kind of in northern Madison, southern Carroll County, yeah, still keep an eye on that. But again, this is going to be the main concern right here as it continues to track east, and it looks like, and kind of towards the Huntsville area.
Just had golf balls reported in Goshen.
Yeah, so in Goshen, so that was, again, that was reported, and I wouldn't, Goshen might have been technically kind of like on the outside of this. So even if you're on the outside of this, I would still, again, respect that polygon. Hopefully I don't get copyrighted here, or anywhere between, let's say, Withrow Springs State Park, Drake's Creek, even though it's on the southern edge, still would stay away from windows. Huntsville, kind of coming right towards Huntsville right now, south end of Hinesville. You can see that large hail potential, and I think this just got trimmed back. I think that's why this got updated, but again, we're seeing that hail there. Yeah, Cave Springs, another report of 2-inch hail. Northeast Elm Springs, 2 1/4. So we've been seeing hail reports coming like crazy with this system. And again, a lot of large hail potentially out of this. So I do want to kind of back up and reset. If you haven't been kind of paying attention, what's going on? So we do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect. Let me pull up this watch here. Severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 6 o'clock for all of northwest Arkansas. Let me step to the side here. That's in pink. That also includes Delaware and Adair County. A tornado watch is in effect until 7 o'clock for the entire River Valley. Why the difference? The boundary where it's setting up. This cold front, now turned warm front, is basically lifting and kind of sitting along I-40. And usually when you're kind of south of that boundary, that's when there's usually a little bit more surface-based storms. So with northwest Arkansas, it's more elevated, meaning large hail is a concern. You can still see some large hail in the River Valley. We're not saying that, but you're also going to see a damaging wind gust concern and then maybe a brief tornado. So that's what we're going to be keeping an eye on for later today. And right now, as we're watching storms, nothing that's popping up yet for the River Valley. It's been very quiet, but just on our southwestern edge, we're watching those storms move into southern LaFleur County. And again, nothing that's speaking to me now. And Scott Covert and I will be here throughout the rest of the day today as these storms continue to track. I think there are just going to be some loud storms from now, but some energy to certainly work with. So we'll go back to this one here, which again is going to be the main concern right now. Let me take off this kind of warning. This is until 11:30, but this will definitely be extended, and I'll freeze it here. Anywhere between, again, this is going to be right over Bohannon Mountain Church, Mountain Springs Church, if you know where those are in those areas, Huntsville, Withrow Springs State Park, towards kind of the County Road 6060 there. Again, anywhere along Highway 412, anywhere in this area in Madison County. Respect that polygon, be taking shelter away from windows, because we've been seeing possibly as big as baseball, maybe even a little bit bigger than baseball size hail, officially a tennis ball size hail. But again, we've had reports out of this already of baseball, a little bit bigger than baseball from storms back off to the west. It's moving roughly northeast at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. So continue to track northeast towards areas like Marble and northeastern Carroll County. I step off to my right here towards Purdy. Again, we'll continue to track west to east here. And again, even though it's a severe thunderstorm warning, we're cutting in to show you that, hey, this is not a common type of storm. If it was a severe thunderstorm warning with quarter-size hail at 60 mile per hour, sure. This is not one of those ordinary storms, and that's why we want to make sure that everyone is, well aware of what's going on, especially those in Madison County for, again, between Drake's Creek and Hinesville, in the Huntsville area, Withrow Springs State Park, and as I mentioned just a little bit ago,
Danny,
even if you're outside of the purple, that doesn't necessarily mean we're not seeing hail there.
Danny, I hate to say this, but we need to go ahead and take a look at rotation on this cell. Rotation is starting to come up as it moves into Madison County. Given it is on that southernmost flank, the mesocyclone, you can see it starting to come together. Now, is it enough to warrant a tornado warning? No, of course not. But I point that out as an additional, hey, we really need to be taking this storm seriously in Madison County as it's trying to really organize itself. You can kind of see that weak rotation right there. It's weak right now, but it often starts as weak before it gets stronger, right? So I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I would generally venture to say the tornado parameters in this part of the state are actually pretty low, but it's certainly something we want to pay close attention to and monitor over the next few minutes. Danny's got that pulled up. You can see where those greens and those reds are. Something to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of where, again, when you're looking for rotation, it's going to be where the greens and reds kind of blend together a little bit. So for this case, we're taking data from the Springfield radar. So you have red that's moving away from the radar there, and then green that's moving towards. So when you have them kind of, or I guess this would be Fort Smith, excuse me. So you kind of have a south wind there, or excuse me, south wind red here, but then you're seeing a little bit of a north couplet there. You see those greens and reds. If they swirl at all, that's where you can see some rotation. Right now, Scott mentioned, nothing's jumping out to me that this is going to be, again, anything right now. But as Scott mentioned as well, it always starts out as a weak rotation, and then maybe could see a brief spin up out of this. And it's something we'll definitely be monitoring as it moves from west to east. Do we see enough rotation to possibly see a brief tornado? So currently not warned, but it is one that we're watching for in the area. And it looks like
we've added a tornado possible tag to that.
Okay, yeah. Let me pull this up and let me show you it to you. So when you see the tornado possible tag, again, that's what we're looking at here, the rotation. So let me go back to the radar, or the reflectivity. So it would probably be in this area. Again, you don't want to see this like little notch, this little hook here, but that's where we're going to be watching for maybe some weak rotation right along the Madison, Washington County line, just southwest of Mountain Spring Church. So that's why the tornado possible tag is on there, because there's a little bit of weak rotation that's trying to organize itself. We're hoping that it just kind of fizzles out, but we'll be watching that kind of hook right there. Watch to see if any rotation comes through, because otherwise, large hail still remains the primary concern for now really crossing into Madison County. So I think Elkins, the west end of Elkins, central end of Elkins, you're in the clear. We'll have to wait to see this storm completely cross the county line. But even, again, still Drakes Creek, Huntsville for sure, Hinesville. I'll take this warning back off now. Hinesville, really anywhere in this warning, I would say be definitely taking shelter and taking precautions, kind of respect the polygon here in this area. I got to stop saying that. Be in this, anywhere in this area, be watching for some large hail. And you can see some whites there. I would say maybe seeing, Scott, I don't know if you're seeing anything over there, maybe up to 3-inch hail, which would probably be a little bit bigger than baseball. I haven't seen that reflectivity yet this morning. We've already seen 3-inch potential hail there.
I haven't seen that over here yet, but you know, storm tops with this one specifically are up to 50,000 feet right there in that exact area. At 50,000 feet, of
Yeah, so sorry if you heard my scratch and you broke the stereos in your room. I'm sorry, or home, I apologize. But yeah, so we're seeing it right here, that dark purple there. And when Scott's talking about how tall the storm is, usually the taller the storm, the larger the hail potential, because when you have hail, what happens is that you have these very small crystals kind of all freezing together. And as the updrafts, or that air moving into the storm, is strong, it keeps it up. It keeps it up. And basically, the taller the storm, the higher it is and the farther it has to fall. So when it's a taller storm, usually that means larger and larger hail. And that's certainly been the case with this cell right here. So again, if you're in the Huntsville area, be staying away from windows. Withrow Springs State Park, staying away from windows. Hinesville even, especially on the south end of the city, stay away from windows. And then Purdy, Marble, you guys are going to be the next in line here, kind of right along Highway 412 or just south of Highway 412. Be watching for this large hail potential. Possibly, officially it's at golf ball, or excuse me, tennis ball size, but I would say maybe even as big as baseball, maybe even a little bit bigger with how the dark purples there are. Let's see if we're see there's any rotation on this cell. I know Scott will be vigorously looking at it.
I'm not seeing it change. I do think the storm itself, overall structure-wise, is trying to organize itself, but I'm not seeing that rotation necessarily change. New severe thunderstorm warning, however, has been issued. You can see that populating on the map right there. That's really for the same exact storm, for the same exact hazards. They've just drawn a little bit bigger one to give more folks a heads up. That severe thunderstorm warning, not only for the potential of tennis ball size hail with that supercell, but we maintain this tornado possible attribute, or that tornado possible heads up. If you're not familiar with these tornado possible tags, it's not super new, but it feels new to a lot of us. It's the Weather Service's way of saying, hey, we're watching something here that could eventually turn into a tornado warning, and we just want you to know that we're watching that really closely. For me, my takeaway from that is often, okay, I'm going to start putting my tennis shoes on, put the Crocs on. Let's get ready to go to that storm shelter in case the warning is issued. That's where we stand with that cell coming into let's say the greater Madison County area right now. Huntsville needs to be very, very on guard with this cell. Minimally, it's about to bring some very large hail, potentially up to the size of tennis balls. We've seen real reports of that. At times we've seen some radar indications that it's that large, but then we're getting our text messages and our Facebook messages are just flooded with pictures of 3-inch plus in diameter hailstones. So I think it's a real possibility that we do have a very intense thunderstorm coming through Huntsville. The question is it all hail, or is it going to be hail and the potential for a tornado? It's something that bears paying very close attention in the next few minutes.
Yeah, so we'll show you again the kind of rotation to see if we're seeing anything. Not anything that's increased, but again, anytime you see these kind of greens and reds, that's what we have to watch for. Maybe a weak rotation.
There is a wall cloud with this cell that is visible. It's not menacing. It looks more bark than bite at this point, especially when you line it up with radar like that. That weak rotation. Again, let's just track those trends, right?
Yeah, so we'll be keeping an eye on it regardless, watching to see how it behaves. But again, that, as Scott mentioned, that cell or that warning now has been moving more for like an easterly direction. I think it's maybe taking more of an easterly tilt.
Anytime you get those right-hand turns, I start to get a little acid reflux. That storms start to turn right like that are often tapping into something that they want to grow stronger. It could be a little bit of a boundary, a little bit of storm fuel, better wind shear, something along those lines. You start to see a right-hand turner, they're notorious for a reason.
Yeah, so we'll be watching this in, again, Huntsville area right now. Again, Japton, Wharton, Purdy, Marble, anywhere really in northern Madison County along and south of Highway 412, and then even those in southern Carroll County, seeing the potential of possibly up to maybe baseball size, but at least tennis ball, which is crazy to say, at least tennis ball size hail. And now you see the wind threat evolve a little bit too, as Scott mentioned. Now we're seeing that energy kind of mix in a little bit. It's becoming more surface-based instead of elevated. So that means now the winds are kicking up a little bit, and that's why we're seeing that potential for weak rotation. Again, the tornado chance isn't super high with this storm overall, but any little bit of weak rotation, especially as it curving more east, you can kind of see that hook right there and that notch. That's what we'll have to watch for as it moves west to east. Does it kind of turn a little bit east, and do we see any of that rotation? Right now, we're not seeing anything that's jumping out to us. Scott's watching it very closely, and will make sure to cut me off if he does see anything. But right now, again, the Hinesville, yes, and Huntsville area seeing some very large hail. Again, right south of the Spring State Park there. Purdy, Wharton, even anywhere in the severe thunderstorm warning needs to be, again, taking that shelter. And again, even just as a precaution, even if it doesn't turn tornadic, I would still say stay away from windows, because this is going to do quite a bit of damage here with tennis ball, possibly a little bit bigger baseball size hail. Again, we've been seeing what this kind of hail product looks like. That looks a lot better with location. We'll see what that kind of tells us here. We'll go to the pinks there. So hen egg, which would be 2-inch in diameter, but also with this, again, don't take this as I'm going to steal one of Scott Covert's lines, gospel, because again, this is data, but we've seen confirmation that it's been up to baseball size hail. So regardless, it's still very big and still very large. This storm really hasn't diminished at all. So there's still a lot of energy and a lot of potential for some large hail. So that's why we're still on the air and still keeping a close eye on it. And again, until this diminishes or moves out of the area, we'll be right here with you throughout this entire thing. I mean, you can see Huntsville right now. If you're in Huntsville right now, you're probably experiencing very heavy rain, probably some large hail, and a lot of lightning with this cell as it tracks eastward there. And even north of Wharton there, you're probably looking into the storm. If you're looking northwest, probably seeing a lot of storms. In Marble and Purdy are basically on track to be seeing this cell next there in northeastern Madison County. And then as we head towards Withrow Spring State Park, seeing some very heavy rainfall. For those in Benton and Washington County, we're in the clear as of now, but we'll have to watch for, and again, we'll kind of reset here to recap why we're on the air and what we're watching for the rest of the day. So the current severe thunderstorm warning is this one right here in northern Madison County. The River Valley, I know you folks are like, all right, what's going on with us? We're just seeing, for me, just scattered storms, nothing that's jumping out to me at least yet. But we're watching these cells as they move in to see if they increase in intensity a little bit. And then watching some cells behind it too. And what we're going to watch for is, does these storms in northwest Arkansas, does that mess up any of the energy left behind? Or are they going to be able to tap into more? Regardless of whether it does or not, we'll be right here with you throughout this entire thing of whether it does or not. But for that reason that we could have maybe some redevelopment, there are some watches in place. A severe thunderstorm watch is in effect in pink here for all of northwest Arkansas. So that is going to be Benton, Madison, Carroll, and Washington County. That'll be until 6 o'clock. A tornado watch in effect for all of the river valley. So Sequoia, LaFleur, Crawford, Sebastian, Scott, Logan, Johnson, Franklin. That's in effect until 7 o'clock. The reason there's a difference is because there's a little bit more spin potential with the river valley, basically the boundary where it's setting up. When you have storms form along that boundary, you can see maybe some rotation. And although, you know, again, it's not a super high chance, that chance is still there for some tornadoes, but we'll have to watch for that. And even though it's a tornado watch, still going to see that large hail and wind gust potential as well. So we'll go back to the radar here and show you that some of these storms now are moving into southern LaFleur County. We'll zoom into these quickly just to kind of show you that. Maybe some small hail with this. Right now, though, it just looks like some heavy rain, but okay, maybe some little small hail with that. We'll have to watch this one in LaFleur County. Our hail detector saying maybe up to quarter size. So we'll watch that cell really closely.
Right now, the Weather Service specifically on that one is indicating for nickel and 50-mile-per-hour winds, which tells us, you know, more than likely knowing the environment that cell is going to be moving into, that far displaced from the Northwest Arkansas storms, it probably goes severe. I can't help but imagine that storm probably goes severe if it's already kind of where it is, only at 11:30 in the morning. The atmosphere there is going to be primed enough to support that.
Yeah, so for those in Heavener, Tallahena, Fanshawe, Poto, just be watching these storms, especially this cell right here. This could have some possibly quarter-size hail head towards Heavener, possibly into western Scott County, southern Sebastian County. So we'll be watching this cell. Again, I want to draw our focus back into Madison County, where we're seeing right over the Huntsville area. And you see that little like thumb almost, that appendage. That's where we're seeing maybe some rotation. It's been weak so far. And again, Scott, you cut me off. You see anything that pops up to you?
So I've been watching this very, very, very closely, and I'll tell you, it's very weak rotation. There have been some visuals on a wall cloud. You know, a wall cloud, they're a dime a dozen. I think we hear wall cloud and we automatically think, bam, tornado shelter, we got to go. Fact of the matter is, wall clouds happen all the time. Some of them don't rotate. This one, I think, is rotating very weakly, and that's why there's no tornado warning. It's something that we're laser focused on because we know how quickly some things can change. In this situation, the rotation's weak enough that I'm not too concerned at this exact moment. Does it change quickly? It very well could. But that hook echo, that classic supercell appearance there, if it has your attention, you're not alone. And for good reason. It is definitely the dominant supercell that is right now for sure bringing some significant hail to the Huntsville area, right there south of 412 into Huntsville. The warning itself particularly takes the potential maximum hail size up to baseball size. We've seen some reports of slightly larger than that. So I do think we've got some very large hail in Huntsville. If you're in Huntsville, I'm afraid you've probably got 5 to 7 more minutes before this starts to improve for you. That potential wall cloud, that weak level of rotation, is going to be just to the south of Huntsville. It is soon probably going to be crossing, let's say, the Pig Trail, Highway 23, about 2 miles south of town. That'll continue tracking off towards the east. Now, obviously, if you're in Huntsville, you have no business trying to see it because you've got a significant hailstorm right now. If there were a visual, it would probably come out of the Witter community. That's where we're going to have a direct look towards the northwest, kind of into that hook echo. Witter, of course, being kind of right here, looking back into it. But if you're in Huntsville or Hinesville or Purdy, for that matter, you're not going to be able to see through that very, very dense. Not only is it going to be extremely heavy rain, but now we're starting to talk about hailstones that could potentially be the size of baseballs. You're not going to be able to see that. So the main concern, the main focus here is definitively what we know is happening, and it's going to be that very large hail. Could there be something try to spin up here? It's trying, perhaps. There is some weak low-level rotation there. The thing is, the parameters actually aren't very good for rotation north of Interstate 40. And for that reason, it's kind of easy to understand why the Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center put Northwest Arkansas under the severe thunderstorm watch, primarily for winds and hail. But where the tornado parameters are going to be a little bit higher, we've rolled with a tornado watch there in yellow. We'll go back to Danny.
Yeah, and so again, we'll be watching this rotation like I'm watching right now. I do want to note, I want to make sure I get the numbers right here. So we're looking at power outages in the area. And I want to say Washington County, a few thousand customers are without power there. So let me check the numbers on this here. 4,600 without power as of 11/22 there in Washington County. So this cell certainly doing quite a bit of damage just with the hail. Not even the winds, but with large hail doing quite a bit of damage. I'm sure there's some here in parts of Benton County as well. But that 4,600 number, that's roughly about 3.5% of customers in Washington County, which doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a good amount of the county there seeing some power outages. So again, hopefully we can, crews will work hard to get those back up. But again, right now, as we watch that rotation, right now, nothing popping out to me to say, hey, this is going to be turning tornadic, but we'll be keeping, again, as close of an eye as ever on this as it continues to track northeast into the area. Otherwise, right now, we'll zoom out here just to kind of show you radar. That one in LaFleur County still moving, tracking in. One just to the south turned severe, but that one may scrape southern Scott County, but I think for the most part, that's going to head just to the south there, to the northeast. But for the MENA folks there, could see that severe thunderstorm warning there if you're watching us. So again, in that area. Otherwise, here in LaFleur County, maybe seeing up to nickel-size hail and maybe some gusty winds as well, but nothing officially severe with that. We'll go back to this cell, and again, you can just see the dark purples there. It's going to be some intense rainfall and maybe a little bit of some, well, not a little bit, a good portion of some large hail as well. I do want to look at this, so hopefully this isn't going to scare anyone here. Let me watch. What am I looking for here? Looking for the debris one here. So while I'm looking for that, so basically we usually use debris for watching for, again, tornadoes, right? But what it also can do is it's basically at its base, it's called correlation coefficient. I'm not going to go into the weeds of that, but basically what it tracks for is when you see red, you're looking for what's similar to a raindrop, and usually that's 1-to-1. Its ratio is 1-to-1. When it gets a little bit lower, that indicates that you're not seeing that 1-to-1 raindrop. You're seeing something else, and this can also be used for hail. Right now, I'm not necessarily seeing anything that pops out to me. I mean, maybe seeing this green here, but there also could be mountains that is running into as well. But that's something I also look for as well is, again, is the hail popping up that way? So again, hopefully that didn't scare anyone. Again, not seeing anything that's popping out to me there. In terms of our in-house hail detector, it's still big, don't get me wrong, but it is at ping pong ball size, which earlier is hen egg plus. So we'll have to watch this. Again, not saying it's weakening at all, but right now still capable of at least ping pong ball size hail. Officially, it is at tennis ball size hail, and certainly the reflectivity, the radar, which you're looking at right now, the dark pinks there, basically almost at the top of the scale, that indicated definitely still some large hail in the region as well. So again, if you're in Huntsville still, Wharton, Purdy, Marble, anywhere in this vicinity, be taking that shelter, staying away from windows here in northeast Madison County. This warning officially is until 12:15. Continue to track into parts of far southern Carroll County there. So again, if you're anywhere in this area, be making sure you're staying away from windows.
If we could, when you get a second, if you want to swing to me real quick. I don't want to cut Danny off. Let him finish his thought.
No, you're good. I was just saying, just watch the large hail potential, and again, looking for maybe that appendage there. That's where that maybe weak rotation is. I'll be watching for that. And again, Scott, whenever you're good to go, I'll send it thanks to you.
Yeah, that rotation's persistently there, but it's also persistently weak, and our hope is that it'll continue to do that. While we watch that very closely, I've done my slice up high through the storm, and we could pull max 2 up here. Essentially what I've done is I've taken a knife and I've just cut the supercell right down the middle, and I've said, okay, what is this look like? What does this look like if you were just to slice the piece of pie right down the middle? And what we see here is that storm actually is now up to 40,000 feet. Earlier it was 50. So in some sense, okay, I really like that progress. It's going to take some time before that trend actually effectively renders this non-severe. But for the time being, we still have the cloud top here up to 40,000 feet. Now, for some context, this is where commercial airliners like to fly, kind of right in this general 30,000 feet range. And this thunderhead, if you were to go outside in northwest Arkansas or possibly even the River Valley and look towards Madison County, you would see it billowing super high up into the sky. It's this hail core right here that is continuing to fall. And you'll notice you start to see some of these stones. This purple right here, that's going to be hailstones that are currently suspended in the atmosphere. The updraft is so intense that it's pushing those stones up to about, let's say, 20 to maybe even 21,000 feet up in the atmosphere. And then they at some point get so heavy, the updraft can't support them any longer. And then there you have it. They start to kind of fall, and you can see those now falling on the east side of Huntsville. So a bit of a different perspective than what you might often see, but one that I think is very telling in terms of, okay, what exactly is going on with this thunderstorm? New update coming in there You can still see that classic anvil shape. So this is definitively still a very classic, unfortunate supercell that still maintains a hail core up to almost now 20,000 feet. So what does this mean? Well, this means if you're in Marble, Kingston, Alabama, you really need to be, it's not a tornado warning, although there is some weak rotation. You need to take this storm very seriously. You're going to have some damage. If this strongest part of the core tracks over you, you're going to have some damage, and it's certainly going to hurt folks that are caught outdoors with no shelter. So if you know anybody in Marble, Kingston, Alabama, perhaps even, that for whatever reason they might be out and about, taking a hike, going on a run, working the fields, tending to some cattle, we need to go ahead and give those folks a call and make sure they have some time to get under a sturdy structure. Otherwise, it's going to be a pretty rough day.
Yeah, again, it's one of those things where, again, maybe not necessarily expected. Again, you're not hearing tornado warning. You might be thinking, oh, I'm okay. But again, there's some very large hail out of this. And watching that weak rotation as well. We're still watching these storms off to the southwest here, now moving into LaFleur County. Again, nothing screaming to me severe, but maybe you could see up to nickel-size hail with these cells. Again, if you're living in southern LaFleur County, headed towards the Heavener area, and then right now over Fanshawe, Worcester, Potos. Again, not trying to forget about you folks in the River Valley. We're keeping an eye on it, but right now, nothing severe there. The only warning near that area, south of the region, I think that'll stay south of the region as it heads to the east. It looks like radar is deciding to have a nice...
It'll sweep and fix it.
There we go. Yeah.
Did the same thing for me.
Yeah, sometimes our technology, man, it's great, and sometimes it likes to act up. So Huntsville now, I'd say, I think the worst of it at least is over from this cell for now, especially if you live on the west side of things. But again, still watching that little thumb or that appendage for maybe some weak rotation. But Purdy, Wharton, again, in northeastern Madison County, seeing very heavy rain, large hail. They continued that 2.5-inch diameter hail, which is tennis ball size, kept the 60-mile-per-hour and that tornado possible tags. Again, seeing some weak rotation at this. So continue to watch that as it moves west to east. Again, near the Purdy and Wharton area, continue to track east in that region. And right now, still looking like a large hail potential and gusty winds. Those up in Carroll County there towards Berryville. And right now, it just looks like some heavy rainfall. Again, a lot of that energy has been taken out by this cell here in Purdy and Wharton and Huntsville. That's continuing to drag eastward. So watching this potential for that large hail continuing through northeastern Madison County. And again, we're still watching for off to the west as well. What's going to happen behind it? So one thing we looked for is the energy. How much energy is left over? So obviously these cells took a little bit of it away, but there is still a decent amount left behind here. So that's where even these storms, as they redevelop, there's still some energy to work with here. So we might not be done, unfortunately, with these storms, especially for those in the River Valley. There's quite a bit of fuel to work with here because we haven't seen any storms yet until right about now. So again, continue to stay with the forecast later today. But right now, again, watching just that one severe warning, but there will probably be redevelopment later today moving into the region here. But we'll go back to just showing reflectivity. We'll see the rotation again, just watching to see if there's anything. Right now, nothing jumping up at me. Again, what you're looking for, obviously you don't want this, but when you're looking for rotation, we keep saying, like, what are we watching for? You might be thinking, all right, there's a bunch of pixels. What does this mean, Danny? Well, again, the reds and the greens, usually there's a swirl. And if it swirls, that means the winds are kind of meshing together in that kind of counterclockwise rotation. So for us, there's just red and then very faint greens, meaning it's weak. There might be a little bit of weak rotation, but nothing that's jumping out to us. Usually, if the rotation is pretty strong, you'll see a pretty dignified or a pretty stout swirl. Like it looks like one of those lollipops. That's what it looks like. And we're not seeing any of that. But what you also look for as well is not only that, but you line it up with reflectivity. And the reflectivity, you look at that and it looks like, okay, you're seeing maybe a little bit of a hook, but then you go to the velocity and you say, there's not a whole lot there. But that's something that, again, watch as it moves east, again, kind of heading towards parts of north central Arkansas. But again, the Purdy area, Marble area here, seeing quite a bit of some heavy rain and large hail potential. Again, let's take that hail track there. Probably still seeing maybe up to tennis ball size. Again, our hail detector is saying ping pong, but we've seen already confirmed reports up to 3-inch diameter hail, which is a little bit bigger than baseball size. So that potential is certainly still there as it moves eastward now. Okay, just bump back up to golf ball size. So yeah, there's still some very large hail with this system. as it's moving east, kind of towards the Purdy area, towards Marble, again towards Kingston, Loy, seeing that area northeast, Madison County, some very heavy rain, very large hail, especially where these purples and pinks are. It's picking up a little bit of that ice, which is that hail, continuing to move east. And it looks like they're kind of flashing this. I think they're just...
Looks like that's going to be a new downstream for Newton County.
Yeah, so it looks
like Huntsville, more than likely at this point. Obviously, the worst of the storm is past your east. I know in Huntsville, you got bigger fish to fry than to send Danny or me a text message. However, if you're in Huntsville and you're kind of walking around, I know what you just went through is pretty rough. When you get a moment, it doesn't need to be right now, but when you get a moment, could you let us know how big it was? That helps us tell your neighbors in Kingston and Purdy what's headed their way. My number, 479-785-5000. Again, just include your location and anything you can use to add some context to how big the hail is. Coins are great. Sometimes even dollar bills work. Credit cards, anything that might just have a consistent, well, don't send me your credit card number. Take all that back. Anything that has like a consistent size that we can get some context. Many of you have been sending in photos and we've been working to curate those. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of those photos while we wait for new data to come in on Madison County. Numerous reports from a good majority of the Northwest Arkansas metro area of some very large hail. That one specifically right there is measuring about 3 inches in diameter. If I recall right, that photo was taken near the interchange of 412 and 112 in Springdale. We'll go to the next one here. This one is, that's probably golf ball size hail. That was a great, okay, that is golf ball size hail. Even better, putting a golf ball next to it. That was in Rogers, taken earlier as the storms rolled through. This one in Siloam Springs by Ashley White. Ashley, that's some unfortunate hail. Yet again, Siloam Springs taking some large hailstones there. Thank you, Ashley, for that. Let's see, what else do we got? Some more coming in. Springdale, that was about the size of probably some quarters there. Terry, Mendel, I'm on the north edge of Springdale near exit 73. Golf ball size hail. Yep, I can see that.
There's the pop canner.
There it is, yeah. Wouldn't mind a DP0 right now. We'll wait for a little bit later, though. Let's continue looking at a few of these. Lowell, there's Shauna Wright. That's my scuba instructor. Love Shauna. I'm afraid, Shauna, you might be looking at a new roof. Let's see, what else do we got? Highfill, yes, big handful of quarters to almost golf balls, perhaps. Some more coming in there from Highfill. Okay, excellent. All right, that's very helpful information. We appreciate you guys being our eyes and ears. Radar's cool. You guys are better, and we know that, and we take it very seriously. And so we appreciate when you're able to let us know how big it was. Pictures are great. If you can do it safely, just include your name, your location, and any context you can add. Let's go back to Danny. New radar continues to sweep through a major hailstorm rolling through Madison County. Yeah, still in Madison County. And again, just want to zoom out just to show you again, this is currently the only active warning. LaFleur County, very loud right now, but nothing severe, just seeing some heavy rainfall and some lightning. But watching that again in Madison County, just exiting Newton County, you said, right, Scott, there, heading into Newton County in north central Arkansas. And then obviously we'll hand it off to our sister station at THV 11 with that cell. But watching that again over Purdy right now, seeing potentially again up to tennis ball size hail, that pink there and that purple indicating very heavy rain, very large hail potential. That'll continue to track east into the Newton area. So again, if you're in Purdy, Huntsville again in the clear, Wharton just about in the clear there, heading eastward towards Ponca there and parts of Newton County, seeing some very large hail in that region. What I do want to show you is, again, the potential of what may be coming the rest of this afternoon as we're about to hit a lull here, at least with any severe weather. So, again, this is not going to be a perfect representation, but what I want to show you is maybe what could be happening here over the next few hours. So let me make sure this is... So, again, these aren't always the greatest estimation. The timing is okay. But you can see that there is the potential of redevelopment behind it. So this is roughly 1 o'clock here, looking at 2 o'clock. So there is the potential of redevelopment in this area. And again, it's not perfect, but let me show you what the other system looks like here. This is showing that, again, maybe a little bit of organization of that line. We'll have to watch that here if it does organize into eastern Oklahoma. But again, maybe more redevelopment for northwest Arkansas as well, moving through, and then more development on the backside as well. So we are not done quite yet with severe weather potential. And in fact, we still do have those watches in place. So we'll show you those here once again. This is severe thunderstorm watch in effect once this does load until 6 o'clock for everywhere in pink. That's going to be northwest Arkansas. That is Benton, Carroll,
Washington and Madison County, as well as Delaware and Adair County. Tornado watch in effect until 7 o'clock for everywhere in yellow, so the entire River Valley, Sequoia, LaFleur, Crawford, Sebastian, Scott, Logan, Johnson, and Franklin County. That's until 7 o'clock. Again, the main reason why we're seeing the difference between the two is because there's a little bit more spin and a lot more energy and a little bit more surface-based storms. And what that means is usually winds are a factor, and then maybe you could see, again, a brief tornado as well. Obviously hoping that we don't see any of that, but that is the current outlook for the watches. Again, this continues to track east towards, again, Newton County there in north central Arkansas. And just kind of a housekeeping thing, we're about 10 minutes away from the 5 news at noon. We'll continue to go straight into that. We'll give you the forecast. We'll kind of reset here once we do get there, but we'll reset, basically kind of give you the forecast what we're expecting for the rest of the afternoon. And Scott and I, the think tank, will continue to see, okay, what can we expect for the rest of this afternoon? Because we do still have the potential of some strong severe storms behind it. I don't know, Scott, if the Storm Prediction Center changed their outlook at all. Probably not. But we'll show you what that looks like here. So, yeah, it's a level 3 out of 5 still for the entire area. I mean, obviously, northwest Arkansas has already seen the brunt of it. But LaFleur County, relatively untouched right now. So that's why we're watching for later today that potential of some severe weather. Again, LaFleur County, just some loud storms right now. Still looking at some very large hail potential over Purdy. Look to see rotation velocity at all. Nothing popping up.
Rotation is, it's been absent the last 3 to 4 scans.
Which, again, is good. I want to reiterate that it's good that we're not seeing anything.
I would say that hail core right now is situated along Highway 21 between Kingston and Marble. That's where you're going to have the largest hail at the moment. So it's pretty intense for the folks in Kingston. Starting to get some reports out of the Huntsville area. In many ways, it's lining up exactly kind of what radar presented as. So some very large hail more than likely coming in to Kingston.
Yeah, I'm going to say, whenever you see those pinks that are not only there but prominent, you're going to probably be seeing some hail out of that. Obviously, some heavy rain as well, but usually purple's on the reflectivity scale. Again, reflectivity, what you're looking at here, that's just how many objects are being shot back at the radar. I know I'm getting a little scientific, but that doesn't just pick up rain. That's why sometimes on the radar you'll see birds, wind farms you'll see. So it doesn't just pick up that, and that's why it's also picking up on this hail, because when you see that pink, it's picking up a large object, which is that hail. And that's sitting there along Highway 21 there in Marble, Purdy, and Kingston. And right now sitting just on the border there of Newton or getting close to the Newton-Madison County line, then just going to be approaching here southern Carroll County as well. Was there a warning here issued just to our northeast here?
Yeah, it's that same. It's going to be for the Osage community for the same storm. I think that's probably an issue with different Weather Service offices. I think they're just mirroring that. Okay,
yeah, so I think they're just kind of, making sure that no area goes kind of unwarned there. We've been still getting some reports in here. 2.5-inch size hail in Goshen. That was in eastern Washington County. And I won't go through all these here, but I just want to give you a picture of what we saw. What was it, about an hour and a half ago it started? Maybe over 2 hours. Yeah, a lot of hail reports. And we're not going to dig into all these, obviously, but this couple dual cell storm produced anywhere between 1/4 to as big as 3-inch diameter hail, which is that teacup size hail. And I'm sure more are going to fill in here for Madison County once this exit and people are able to safely report. As Scott mentioned, we've already been seeing reports from the Huntsville area where that storm rolled through. The severe thunderstorm warning, again, has been peeled back. So, again, Huntsville, again, you guys are in the clear. Venus is in the clear. Really, again, about to exit the region into far southern Carroll County, then off into Newton County. So in the clear for now, but as I mentioned, we're still watching cells that are off to our west. They'll have to watch for, okay, do these pulse up a little bit? Is the atmosphere able to recover in time? And then what do these in the River Valley do? Are these just a few storms, or are these going to turn severe? And again, right now, they're just loud thunderstorms. That's all we're looking at, which is some good news. We'll take the rain any way we can get it, at least non-severe. We're in that hailstorm again, really setting up again along Highway 21. They're just east of Highway 21 now, between Marble, Purdy, and the Kingston area, headed towards Dinsmore there, which is in Newton County, and then Dry Fork, far southern Carroll County. As I mentioned, the news at noon will go on scheduled, so we'll stay on the air. We'll talk about this forecast, and then we'll obviously be back here on the stream if there is severe weather. If there's not, obviously Scott and I will talk how we want to operate on that. But again, we're not necessarily done with severe weather yet. I wish we were, but with some scattered activity this morning in northwest Arkansas and not a whole lot in the river valley. There's still a lot of moisture and energy to work with this cell. So that's why, again, we're not quite done yet. But this is, again, just about to exit into Newton County. And again, if you're in the Newton County area, if you might be watching us from there, our sister station over at THV 11 will pick it up. Scott's former station, the king of THV 11, we're lucky to have him. But again, that's moving off to the east here. Still probably producing up to tennis ball size hail and maybe 60-mile-per-hour winds. It still has that tornado possible tag. I will note that the new warning did not. That's a good sign. I mean, it's probably because it's on the north end of the cell too. But we'll take another look at this velocity, and Scott's been closely tracking it. Not necessarily seeing anything popping out to me.
No rotation. In fact, we're about probably 12 to 13 minutes since we've detected really anything of rotation. And that does, I welcome that news, right? There's never disappointment in news like that. But when you start to analyze the parameters, to get something to spin north of I-40 was going to be tough today, right? We knew these storms, as you have clearly predicted all morning, were going to be elevated in northwest Arkansas. And so that results in, generally speaking, more hail than wind, and then more hail and wind than tornadoes. So that's something that isn't necessarily a surprise. Good news, it did get a little nerve-wracking there when you start to see that hook come together, a little bit of rotation developing right within it. But the good news is that never even came close to producing a tornado. So at this point, Danny, I'll let you kind of continue kind of getting ready for your noon newscast. That's going to go on as scheduled. Hey, I know there are soap operas on, and you wanted to watch them, and I'm sure my grandma is among you in the comment section.
Hey, come at us.
Saying put the soap operas back on, and if that's you, Grandma, I'm sorry, we'll figure it out. At any point, if someone's life's in danger, we're going to come on TV, and we're going to do it every single time. I know it doesn't impact everybody, and unfortunately, the reality is we got one signal and only get one signal to interrupt. In this case, we had baseball and tennis ball sized hail rolling through populated areas where people live and work, and where school's in session, and we wanted to be here to provide that information to those folks that were in the danger. Unfortunately, as this kind of winds down temporarily, we turn our attention to that second round that's going to be coming into the area. You can start to see some thunderstorms rolling through LaFleur and even Sequoia, Scott County as well, and heck, even some scattered activity in portions of Sebastian County. That's got the potential to become severe today. As Danny has kind of noted, we've got watches for everybody in the 5 News viewing area, which simply means the conditions are going to be favorable. Now, interestingly, this doesn't always happen this way, but interestingly, we've got 2 different types of watches. We've got the severe thunderstorm watch in pink here. That's going to be for northwest Arkansas, northeast Oklahoma. For the same hazards we've seen already, we had that hail and more so wind potential. In the river valley, we've got the yellow. That corresponds to our tornado watch, where the conditions are going to be a little bit more favorable to get some stuff to spin. That's going to be in addition to the hail and wind potential, right? So kind of depending on where you're at today is going to dictate kind of what you could be looking at. Not everyone's going to see a bad storm. Not everyone's going to see hail like what we saw already this morning into this afternoon. But it is certainly a possibility for all of us. I think sometimes we can kind of get caught up in not really assessing, okay, we know that there's the potential, but what's the probability? Well, probability here is today, a lot of us are going to see rain and storms, but not everyone's going to see baseball-sized hail. Some will, some have, and unfortunately, the atmosphere is going to continue to support that for a little bit longer. So the game plan here, as I understand it, is we have a cut-in. Danny, your regular cut-in, coming up here in just a few minutes. Let's turn it back over to Danny so he can get ready for that, and we're going to roll pretty quickly right into our 5 News at noon newscast.
All right, rolling right into the noon, I guess. Okay, so yeah, we'll just kind of go on as scheduled again. The news at noon will air here on 5 News. I'm sorry, Scott, if I cut you off. Rolling right here on 5 News on CBS. And then again, if severe weather were to cut in, we'll make sure to keep you posted on the 5 News Plus app. And again, if it does turn significant, again, probably 2-inch hail, 80-mile-per-hour winds. If it does get to that in a tornado, we will be cutting in over the air. Otherwise, the 5 News Plus app is where we'll continue to stream coverage. We also will be having an extension of the newscast at noon from 12:30 to 1. So if you want to watch there, you can watch it air from noon to 1. But also, again, it'll be over the air from 12 to 12:30 on CBS. And then from 12:30 to 1, we'll be having the extended newscast there. We'll continue to watch these storms, continue to watch the potential of severe weather. Continue to talk about what's going to happen for the rest of the afternoon. And those in Madison County, the hail is just about to exit into Newton County. It's right on that edge. So again, we're about all clear for now. But again, we're watching for that hail potential. wind potential and maybe a brief tornado, as Scott showed. A tornado watch in effect until 7 o'clock for the River Valley. Severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 6 o'clock.